Alrighty then, hello all you subjects of the internet out there. This is the Aromantic Shipper back once again for a New Year's extravaganza. So yeah, I guess this is sort of a face reveal, in the new year. Yeah, this is what I look like. This is where I live. I live in my parents' basement. I'm a basement dweller. Yeah, as you can see, I've got a Attack on Titan puzzle up there. I've got a chemistry periodic table puzzle up there. I have a lot of puzzles here. I'm actually working on a puzzle right now. It's a Game of Thrones Westeros map puzzle. It's actually on the table that my phone is resting right now. So yeah, this is going to be my New Year's special, where basically it's going to be a long one for sure. And basically, I'm just going to go through every single thing that I watched / read in the year of 2021. And basically that it's stuff I wouldn't be able to talk about in a normal standalone review because it would just be by the way, sorry, I'm going to have a massively sore throat throughout all of this. It's really not great timing because I'm a little sick and I don't know if it's COVID or not. Like I've been tested negative, but I've been exposed to COVID by 2 different sources, so I don't really know what's going on. But I feel well enough to record, but it's just gonna be, my voice is gonna be scratchy. So just but yeah, basically this whole thing is going to be it's not necessarily going to be just including things that came out in 2021. I'm just going to be reviewing everything I watched / read again in 2021, where even if I even if I've watched it or read it before, if I'm sort of revisiting it as something like, something that's nostalgic for me and I watched when I was a lot younger and sort of watching it again, I'm also going to be talking about that. Because I'm someone who likes to talk about media. I'm someone who likes to talk about shows and movies and animation, but I don't have the time to go and make a review of everything I watch. So I'm just going to be talking about, briefly summarizing my thoughts on pretty much everything I watched this year in the year of our Lord 2021. So yeah, I'll try to hold back on spoilers, but it's just kind of a habit of mine to, when I'm talking about something, to get more specific in what I'm talking about. So there probably will be spoilers in a lot of the things that I do talk about, and I'm not going to be going super in depth, but if you don't want to be spoiled on anything you haven't watched, just skip through the sections of the video where I'm going to be talking about something you haven't seen. It'll be easy because through the magic of digital editing, I'm going to put an image in the corner of whatever I'm going to be talking about while I talk about it. Or maybe it's this side. I don't know. I'll have to go through while editing. Anyway, and yes, I'm going to be using my laptop for notes, so I'm going to be looking down at it sometimes, so deal with it. Anyway, with that out of the way, let's just get to talking about everything I watched / read in 2021. It's going to be a long one. I watched a lot of shit. So yeah, let's go. Alright, so first thing I watched in the year of 2021 is Green Eggs and Ham, the animated series on Netflix. And by the way, I'm going to be going through shows first, and then movies, and then, books that I've read. And I'm going to, basically, it's going to be trying to go in chronological order of, the order of things that I watched. But it's sort of funny also because, some things I might have picked up in the beginning of the year and then, finished watching by, the late end of the year. So it's just, anyway, I'm just going to go through, I'm just going to go through and talk about it. I don't think it's, super important that I have to be, super accurate and, what dates I watch these. Anyway, yeah, let's talk about Green Eggs and Ham, the Netflix adaptation of the Dr. Seuss classic, Green Eggs and Ham. And, this was kind of weird for me because, it was, suggested to me a lot of, I looked online, a lot of different YouTubers were saying, oh, it's actually really good, and, it's very surprising because it's, a really great Dr. Seuss adaptation, and it's, weird, too, because it's, stretching out, this very short book into, I think it's, 13 episodes, and, honestly, the animation in this show is definitely pretty good, and you can tell there's a lot of effort put into it, but I personally found, all these people claiming, oh, it's, it's such a great show, and like it's so amazing. Like it's a fine kids show, but like it's not amazing or incredible or anything. It's just like it's competently made, but I didn't really find it very fantastic. Like I wasn't super engaged. I found it like there were some funny moments, but for the most part it had somewhat average humor. You know, I felt like they just stretched out the story too much. Like, you know, it got sort of formulaic, and like them sort of traveling to these locations, and you know, I don't know, I just didn't really enjoy the show all that much. Like it was fine, and like I did actually sort of like the twist that they had with Sam. I think it made a lot of sense actually, and like when you go back and remember what had been set up, it actually makes a lot of sense. So like there were some good aspects about this series, but overall it wasn't like fantastic, or it didn't blow my mind or anything. Like it's green eggs and ham. Like it's you can't take green eggs and ham and like make it into a 13 episode series and have it like be totally engaging and amazing the whole way through. A lot of it really felt like padding, and not much was happening throughout it, and like it was fine. The characters were likable, but it just wasn't like incredible or anything like that. So if you're expecting like a masterpiece from Green Eggs and Ham on Netflix, you're not really gonna get it. So that's what I think of Green Eggs and Ham. All right, next show that I watched is a mecha show, and it's Gurren Lagann. And you know, the best way I could describe Gurren Lagann is it's entertaining but not good. Like this, it's entertaining. I was not bored watching it, but at the same time, I don't know if I can call it like an objectively good story, because it has like quite a bit of problems and issues. But yeah, so I think the biggest problem with this story is like it was just very hard for me to take the story seriously a lot of the time, because it is just like so incredibly goofy and so incredibly over the top. And like the power creep in this series is like ridiculous, because they go from like you know, in the span of not very many episodes, they go from like these one-on-one mecha battles to basically like universe destroying powers and fights by the finale. And it's just like it gets so ridiculous, and it's like am I really supposed to take this story seriously, and like the struggles the characters are going through? And like there are times when it tries to get serious, but it's just like it's kind of hard for me to take it seriously, because it's just so ridiculously over the top and out there. And also the story like feels very rushed. Like again, you know, it's a very limited amount of episodes. I think it's only like 26 or 27. And like in that time, like so much incredible development happens, and like it just feels like so much stuff is happening that like it never really gives the audience any time to take things in. It's just like constantly moving. But at the same time, there's also like it's weird because the story moves so fast, but a lot of the episodes also felt like a lot of filler. Like, you know, there were just like a lot of episodes that didn't really contribute to, well, not really a lot, I guess, but a not insignificant amount of episodes that didn't really contribute to the main plot. Even though, like, you know, the plot developments really did breeze through, there were just these episodes that didn't really have anything to do with it, and just seemed to be wasting time. And there were also like I think there were 2 recap episodes in, again, a story with like 26 episodes trying to like tell this like galaxy scale story by the end. And like it was way too rushed, while also wasting a lot of time you know, on these episodes that didn't really matter and you didn't really need to watch. And like so that is definitely a problem I had with it. I think the characters are okay enough. Like that Spiral girl, she was kind of likable, even though she didn't really do all that much. Simone is an okay protagonist. I thought his, you know, journey with him trying to deal with Kamina's death, which, oh, spoiler, sorry, but like, yeah, Kamina's death, actually, that was also a pretty interesting twist. Like, you know, you obviously don't expect the one of the main characters to be killed off so early, especially when it seems like he's going to be much more important. Although, to be honest, I don't know. It's like, you know, I don't know if I really liked Kamina that much in the first place, even though his death was obviously very impactful. Because it seems like, you know, the story is just trying to hype him up as like, you know, oh, this character who we need to remember him because he was like such an inspiration. but he kind of acts like an idiot throughout a lot of it, and just like kind of screws up a lot of things, and I don't know. But also, like, seriously, the resolution to this story, like, how is it a resolution to anything? I feel like this is like basically the main message that is gotten from Simone and his crew trying to fight against this organization who's trying to like protect the integrity of the universe is just like, I'll solve the entropy of the universe by believing in myself and fighting harder. And it's like, really, like, what? It's just like, I don't know, it feels like basically the entire theme of this story is about like the human drive to succeed and survive, and like I don't have a problem with that because obviously it's something that I identify with a lot as a humanist, but at the same time it's like I feel like that only comes from like just effort and passion rather than like intelligence necessarily, because I don't know, it's just like I liked some of the ideas of this story, definitely. I liked some parts of the show. And again, it does look very good. The animation is pretty stellar, but it's just like, I didn't think it was that good despite being an entertaining show. One thing I do have to say, though, is that Yoko is dummy thick. Like, Yoko is very, very attractive in this show. Like, I know, like, she's supposed to be like 14 when the anime starts, but like she does not look like 14. Age is weird in anime, okay? Like there will be these like 2,000-year-old lollies who look like they're 7, and then like there will be these like massive tittied people who are like 13 years old or whatever. Also, there's a time skip of 7 years where she is like grows into a full-grown adult with glasses. So yeah, I won't hear any of you prudes out there complaining about me being attracted to Yoko Lindner. So, yeah. Anyway, that was what I thought of Gurren Lagann. All right, now we're moving on to Voltron, Legendary Defender, seasons 3 to 8. So basically what happened is in 2020, I watched seasons 1 to 2 of, Voltron, Legendary Defender. And now in 2021, I finished watching seasons 3 to 8. And I have to say, this story, I enjoyed watching the show, but I definitely don't feel nearly the same emotional attachment for Voltron Legendary Defender as I do for like something like Avatar, or even like something like Legend of Korra, which isn't as good, but I still have a great emotional attachment to. I don't know, it's just like this series, like, well, here's the thing, like the ending made me feel very empty. Like I didn't think it was very good. Like Hagar was such a lame villain. Allura, like basically, I'm trying not to spoiler, but I want to talk about it, which is that Allura died for basically, in my opinion, no real reason. It was and like Hagar, the final villain, just had like such an incredibly lame motivation where she was just like, oh well, if no one loves me, like I'm just gonna destroy the entire multiverse, like whatever. And like here's the thing I will say, I don't really agree with some people who say that, oh, after seasons 1 and 2, the show just went downhill. I think that actually, when I started watching season 3, like, my interest in watching Legendary Defender actually peaked up significantly because the character of Lotor was introduced, who is the best character in this series. And I will fight you on that. I loved his character. I thought he was incredibly complex, serving as this, like, villain, hero, anti-hero with his own goals. I don't really think he had a very satisfying way to go out where he just sort of went crazy-ish by the quintessence or whatever, but like in the time he was taking up the main spotlight, I thought Lotor was incredible, and I thought some of the complexity that they introduced in the story from like season 3 onwards was pretty cool. But I just feel like by the time of season 7, things started to go downhill with the absence of Lotor, and like the other thing is some of the there's some cool action in the show, and like the animation is pretty good, but it just felt like as the show went on, the mecha fights became more dull, and some of them just went on forever. Like, remember in season 7 where the last 2 episodes of the season are basically just mecha fights, and it's just like it went on forever, and it's just like at a certain point I'm just like watching motion on the screen, and it's not very investing because I know the main characters are going to make it out okay, and they're going to pull some like spirity attack technique out of their ass or whatever. Also, another thing I have to say is Pidge is best girl by far. I really like Pidge's character. I loved whenever she was on screen, and just she stole the show. She was pretty much the only character that never really annoyed me at any point. But yeah, like the other characters, like outside of Pidge, like some of them were interesting. They could have interesting arcs, but I feel like I don't know, a lot of them were not utilized terribly well, especially like Lance, who just like didn't really accomplish much of anything in the series and kind of just served as this comic relief character. You know, and like what was up with some of the shipping in this series? Like it got kind of ridiculous. Like it like for example, Allurance, which happened in like the final season, Allura and Lance. Like that I was not feeling that at all. I feel like you know I don't know, it just felt like basically that romance subplot was not really built up at all. It just felt like, okay, we have to have Lance have something to do, so he'll be like in a relationship with Allura, even though he's not really doing anything outside of that. And like, it's so weird, some of the shipping in this series. Like, oh, and plus, like, what was up with the like I wasn't watching this show when it was coming out, but I do know of some of the drama that happened with like, the Atom stuff, where basically, there was this announcement that like we're gonna meet Shiro's like boyfriend in season 7, and then like he's in the flashback, and it just turns out like he died and stuff, and like that was really dumb. And then of course like they pulled a last minute bullshit in the finale where like there's a 10-second clip of like Shiro getting married to this random guy, and it's like, hey, gay rights, we're gonna kill off this character's gay boyfriend and like just have him get married to this random guy in the end. I don't know, it's just really not great. Basically, yeah, Voltron Legendary Defender, there's a lot to like about this show, but like at the same time, it didn't really all fit together the best. The story just became a complete mess by the end, and a lot of the characters did not really get satisfying endings. And, honestly, She-Ra and the Princesses of Power was a much better show than Legendary Defender in, like, almost every way except for the animation and action. So, yeah, that's what I thought about Voltron Legendary Defender. Alrighty then, now we get on to The Walking Dead, where I watched Season 10 and Season 11A. Basically, what happened was I'd actually already watched Season 10 AB before in 2021. Or no, 2020. But basically, I went and rewatched it again this year to get prepared for 10C and 11A. And basically, what I thought about The Walking Dead is, I know there's like this meme of, The Walking Dead, it's irrelevant, like no one's watching it anymore. But some people are watching it, and I'm one of them because I have a lot of attachment built up to this series. You could call it the sunk cost fallacy, but I think that there is still interesting stuff going on in this series in the present day. Like, for example, let's talk about 10 A and B. Basically, really, I think the Whispers arc was handled incredibly well in these in season 9 and 10. Like, I've read the comics, which I'll talk about later, but I've read the comics, and I think they actually made a lot of interesting additions to the Whisper arc. A lot of things that were handled very well, like a lot of the stuff they did with the Whispers was really cool. So the Whisper arc itself was handled very well, but like the stuff outside of the Whispers that they introduced that are like show only stuff was not very interesting. Like some of the one-off episodes, like where Michonne, which was her final episode, where or Denai Guerrero, her final episode in the show, where she basically went on this side quest of like trying to find weapons, and she got like these drug-induced hallucinations from this guy, I guess, and like some of these subplots where they just go outside of the main plot, like these one-off episodes, I haven't really been finding them very interesting. And I just like, the main story of the Whisperer shit is like, it's interesting, it's done very well, but then they like have to go off topic by introducing these like one-off episodes that just really drag the pacing of the show down, which I did not appreciate. And that's definitely at its worst in 10C, which is like, it's entirely one-off episodes, and they were doing it while obviously there were limitations because of COVID-19 and the pandemic, what they could do, and they couldn't really start working on the final season right away. But basically, I did not really like 10C at all very much. Like a lot of the episodes like were very boring. The Carol and Daryl stuff was like really not very good at all. And it's weird because like Carol and Daryl are some of my favorite characters in the series, but I just did not really like what was going on with them. Like some of the other stuff too, like the princess episode was not very good. And one thing I did kind of like was the Abraham and Gabriel subplot or side story, which not really needed, but I still did find it somewhat entertaining to watch. Really, the only truly good episode I would say that was in 10C was the Negan one, obviously. Just like one of the best episodes in the series for sure. But like the other stuff, I didn't really appreciate 10C very much. 11A, the first part of the final season, like I thought it was okay. Like it wasn't great. One of the things that really bothered me about 11A is what is with that cliffhanger? Like, seriously, you're going to leave us off on that cliffhanger? And it's just such a dumb cliffhanger, too, because, like, what are they going to do? Are they going to kill off, like, Maggie and Negan and, like, really, what is the point of leaving us off on that cliffhanger? Couldn't you just have the end of 11A dealing with the resolution to the Reaper storyline? Like, why are we just... It's obvious they're just doing a very cheap cliffhanger to get people to tune in to, the middle season premiere of, 11B. So I did not really appreciate that cliffhanger. I also didn't appreciate how a lot of the characters were kind of underutilized that I really liked in 11A. Like, for example, Carol didn't really play a very big role. What's-her-face? Lydia didn't really play a very big role, and I find those to be some of the most interesting characters. And didn't really do much in 11A, so that sort of bothered me. Like, I'm really excited for the Commonwealth arc. It's actually funny because, like, that's the arc that I haven't read yet in the comic books, whereas I've read everything else. But I don't actually know what's really going to happen, in the comics, so I'm sort of going in blind for the final season and how it wraps up, and I think that's a good thing because I'm really interested in where the story has been going so far. But the other thing that bothered me about this is just in general thing, like why can't AMC just make Daryl asexual? Like seriously, why do they have to introduce this character Leah, who's like a love interest for him, and is like one of the most boring and bland characters anyway? And it's like you have one of the most popular characters in fiction who's like this really badass and really complex character who's like and like he shows like all of the traits and coding of being asexual, and like they just can't like say that yes, this character is asexual. It's like we need more asexual representation in media, and it's just like kind of ridiculous that like Daryl, who's been coded as asexual this entire time, is just like they refuse to make him asexual. That bothers me. I also really don't like how AMC just keeps sending its cast away. Like I'm really happy Maggie is back for this this final season because I really like her character, but like it's just Michonne is gone now when like they couldn't even give her a death. Like they couldn't even have given her the Andrea death like in the comic books. Like she just leaves, and that really bothered me. Like I don't understand. Like you have these interesting characters, and then you just keep sending them away to, like, spin-off shows, like Morgan and Fear the Walking Dead, and we're gonna get to that. But, yeah, it's just, like, that really bothers me. I think the highlight of 11A was definitely the Negan and Maggie interactions. Like, I felt like the Whisperers were kind of boring. No, sorry, not the Whisperers, but the show-only group, the Reapers, they were kind of boring as antagonists, but I do like that they sort of served as a plot device to kind of drive the story forward, where it sort of accelerates the bonding between Negan and Maggie and trying to reconcile their relationship. And I did really like that aspect of the story. I found it to be probably the most interesting. And there were also some really interesting and tension-filled scenarios, because even though the Reapers are kind of boring as characters and antagonists, they do feel legitimately threatening. So that is something that I liked. So anyway, that's my feelings on The Walking Dead at the moment. Alright, now we get on to talking about Fear the Walking Dead Season 6. So I already made a review of this. It was like all in one take, and it was just like, I talked in depth about Season 6 of Fear the Walking Dead, where basically, my main takeaway is that, Season 6 is much better than it could have been, much better than Seasons 4 and 5 of Fear the Walking Dead. It feels like it had actual effort it put into it this time, but it's just like, why are we still going with Fear the Walking Dead? Fear the Walking Dead died when Morgan was introduced in the first episode of season 4. The show that Fear the Walking Dead once was is gone, and I don't understand why we keep doing this, even if some of the episodes are half decent, because it's not Fear the Walking Dead, it's the Morgan Jones show now, and it's just like it would have been better if it had ended in season 3. And again, it's just like I found season 6 to be halfway decent, but it's just like I don't really even care that much anymore, because it's just like why do we need this? Why do we need like this Morgan spin-off show where you completely hijacked an original show that was actually getting pretty interesting in season 3? And it's just like and I don't care. I know season 7 of Fear the Walking Dead has already been releasing episodes, but you know, I just don't care. I don't want to watch Fear the Walking Dead anymore. And plus, like, I've been watching there's this YouTuber, this Walking Dead YouTuber called Predator. I don't know if you've seen him. I think he has a very dry, sarcastic sense of humor. You know, he talks about the Walking Dead stuff and does reviews about it. And according to him, like, the recent episodes of Fear the Walking Dead season 7 have just been really bad. So, you know, my OCD compels me to watch the newest season of Fear the Walking Dead. But it's just like there's a point where you say no more. I'm not dealing with shit anymore. I mean, like, The Walking Dead has been definitely having some problems, but you know, in the end, still feels like there's an interesting story to be told. But you know, like, Fear the Walking Dead, you know, just fuck the show. I'm not watching it anymore. I'm done. Like, I don't even know how the show, like, just keeps going. Like, it's just like, who's watching Fear the Walking Dead anymore? Like, it's so bland and uninteresting. And again, like, you know, I thought season 6 was halfway decent, but it's just like, you can't recover from seasons 4 and 5 and what happened there. And it's just like, I don't care. I don't care. I'm not watching Fear the Walking Dead anymore. I'm not wasting another single thought about that fucking series. I'm done. It's just like, I also don't really care about watching The World Beyond anymore. Like, it's just like, I want to see a conclusion to the series that I first started with. I want to see a conclusion to The Walking Dead, the main storyline. I don't care about all this side shit. Like, I want to see a good ending to the characters and to the story in the main series, okay? AMC, can you just give me that? Please, please. Okay. Attack on Titan Junior High. I gotta say, I really wish I had watched this in the dub, because here's the thing, like, I know there are like these anime fans who are like, oh no, you have to watch it in sub, it's like so much better in sub, like, you know, dubbed anime is trash, garbage, you know, I don't care, because I like hearing a language that I understand. Like, I get it, okay, like, you know, I'm sure that, like, the original language, the original performance by the Japanese actors is great, but I can't understand it because I don't speak fucking Japanese. And like, I think, because here's the thing, I really wish, like, you know, I've obviously watched subbed anime before, like when dubbed isn't available for me, but like, I really think me watching Attack on Titan Junior High subbed, like, really sort of brought the experience down for me, because like, especially with comedy, like, comedy is very based in timing, and it's like the performance of the voices and what's being said, and that just doesn't come across very good to me when I'm having to read what the characters are saying. It's just like, you know, timing is everything in comedy, and I don't really get that when I'm you know, listening to another language that I don't understand. So that is a problem I had with well, it's not a problem with the actual anime, because even though, like, the experience of me watching it was sort of brought down by the fact that I was watching it subbed, I did think that Attack on Titan Junior High was really funny. You know, it was a great parody of the show for sure, and there are also a lot of cool references and foreshadowing in this series. It's just a really great parody that really pokes fun at the series, and I think it's basically adapted from some manga of the actual artist Isayama, you know, poking fun at his work. And I think that's really cool that, you know, he can, you know, create a parody of his own work like that. It's just like, also, like, it's so weird because, like, I think Attack on Titan Junior High is like the perfect encapsulation of like the actual fan base of this show, because it's just so weird because, like, there's this huge contrast between the fan base of the show and the actual show itself, because like the show is like dark, gritty, depressing, like horrible violence, and then like the fan base is just like on crack, where basically they're just like these like meme-filled, incredibly funny, like ridiculous, not to be taken seriously videos online of like, I actually prepared a video that I'm gonna upload in the future of like Attack on Titan fan base versus show, because it's like the fan base is so incredibly goofy and ridiculous, and like the show is incredibly depressing, and like I guess you got to balance it out. If you have a really depressing and terrible show, not terrible as in bad, but like terribly horrible, you got to have a really like upbeat and like silly fan base, I guess. But yeah, I really like this show. I really like this parody, even though think I would have enjoyed it much more if I did watch it dubbed. And I have watched dubbed clips of it on YouTube, which I wasn't able to watch the entire series dubbed, unfortunately. But definitely did like this show. Definitely did like this parody. I think my favorite episode was probably the ghost one. Where like the school was haunted and stuff. That was just like really funny. Had a ton of great jokes, and also a lot of really cool like references to stuff that would actually happen in the show as well. Like Krista meeting her sister and stuff. Like that was it was pretty cool. I really liked it. I really like this miniseries as well. So Attack on Titan Junior High, pretty great. Wish I watched it dubbed. All right, so next show we got to talk about Hunter x Hunter. And this will be seasons 3 through 6. I watched the first 2 seasons on Netflix in 2020. So basically, just going to be talking about the Hunter x Hunter franchise. So, like, I have been told by, like, multiple sources online that, like, oh, this is the greatest shonen ever. Like, it's so good. Like, you're going to be amazed when you watch it. And, like, I'm going to be honest, I think Hunter x Hunter is kind of overrated. Like, I know I'm going to get probably a bunch of hate for that. But, like, yeah, I liked watching it, but I didn't think it was amazing or anything. Like, for example, let's talk about the Chimera Ant arc in the anime. Like, this is widely considered to be, like, by many people, like, the greatest arc in shonen anime ever. And, like, I liked the beginning of the Chimera Ant arc. I thought it had a very strong start, like, immediately establishing, sort of the stakes of the series. And, like, there was a lot of very interesting scenarios with them trying to, figure out what's going on and, like, attack these basically base level ant soldiers until trying to get to the queen and the birth of the king and all that stuff. And I like the beginning of the Chimera Ant arc, but then the second half of the Chimera Ant arc was just like so incredibly dragged out. Like they spent like 20 episodes like trying to basically focusing on the storming of the castle, like its entire 20 episode stretch of just that. And there are episodes like in that stretch where it just feels like almost nothing happens, and the action is kind of just progressing at a snail's pace the entire time. It was also by the Chimera Ant arc that they just introduced like a bunch of different side characters that didn't really seem all that important, but there was just so much time dedicated to them that it just like it really felt like it was stretching the main story out. Like there's this octopus character who like Killua befriends, and like there's this entire episode dedicated to him. It's just like did we really need that? And it's like plus like they overused the narrator like way too much. There's way too much narrator abuse in the Chimera Ant arc. Like it's just like I want to actually see what's happening in the story. I don't need the narrator like picking apart every little detail of what's going on like all the time. And it's just like one of the most hilarious things about the Chimera Ant arc to me is just like there's like this entire like 12 episode, I don't remember how long it is, but like 12-minute explanation about the backstory of this guy named Gyro, who we never even see in the story. And it's just like this Gyro guy is like he's been given so much importance and so much focus, but we never even like see him. And it's just like what was the point of that? It's just focusing on all this stuff like this peripheral information and characters in the Chimera Ant arc that didn't really seem to matter much in the end. And like the other thing is the Chimera Ant arc definitely had some interesting ideas, but like a lot of them weren't explored well enough. I would have seen like because Meruem like he goes through this interesting journey of like sort of becoming enamored with like human life through this kid that he basically plays this game with, and like I would have liked to see that explored more, like where he had this plan of like trying to reform human civilization and stuff, like, but that didn't really go anywhere because he was blown up and then just like lost his memories for a while after that. And it's just like why did we have to see like a few episodes of him like having his memory loss and then like his poof like trying to make sure he didn't regain his memory? Like it just felt like it was stretching the story out with not really adding much to it. So yeah, I definitely have my issues with the Chimera Ant arc, even though I did think some parts of it were good. The York New City arc, I would definitely say, is the best arc of this series. Kurapika is best boy. That's just a fact. And I really liked his journey and his character arc in this segment of the show, where he's sort of trying to grapple with his need for revenge, with also being sort of a just individual. And like, it was just a lot of great stuff. The Phantom Troop was great. Really liked the York New City arc. The Hunter exam arc, here's the thing, wait, was it the Hunter exam arc? No, it was the, which one was it? It was the final arc it was, season 6. I don't know, I don't think it's called the Hunter exam arc, I think that was the first, arc, but anyway, basically, it's the chairman selection arc, where, I think that's what it's called, where basically they're trying to, select a new chairman after Chairman Netero died. And I really like the beginning of this arc. It really sets things up in a very interesting way, where like Killua and Aluka are being chased by what's his face? I don't know, Hisoka and the other guy, and basically it's very interesting and tension filled as it starts out. But like again, it really goes nowhere in the end, doesn't it? Like Killua's brother doesn't really end up trying to kill him in the end. Or really do anything all that villainous, like Periston and his whole subplot, really went nowhere. Like Leorio randomly, like through the memes, becomes like a contender for, chairman, which I feel like, rather than actually, using his character in an interesting way and like giving him character development, they basically just used him for the memes in this arc, and it's just like, and like seriously, it just felt like the chairman selection arc, just like it had a lot of build up to stuff that didn't really actually end up paying off. And like Gon is just like healed by Alika just like incredibly easily, even though it was set up before that like there was incredible consequences to making a wish with their powers. And it's just like, what is with Hunter x Hunter and like should I say Hunter x Hunter? I will include the X, okay? It's there, so I'm gonna say it. Hunter x Hunter. Like, I don't understand what's with, like, all these arcs having, like, anti-climaxes in the end. Like, it's so brilliant because all these arcs are, like, anti-climaxes, and it's so surprising. But, like, at the same time, like, climaxes are there for a reason. They're to, like, resolve the story and have interesting stuff happen. And it's just, like, all these arcs end with damn anti-climaxes. It's just, but yeah, like, so I had my issues with definitely the final season. I actually really liked the Greed Island arc. Like I didn't love it, but like it had some really interesting stuff in it. And like Hisoka Dodgeball, easily worth it for the Hisoka Dodgeball portion. Like how can you not love that? It has Hisoka in it. So I wonder if the story will ever actually have a conclusion. It's been through 2 separate unfinished adaptations by now. Like, seriously, Yoshihiro Togashi is like George R. R. Martin of manga. Like, this dude is, oh man, he's never gonna fucking finish. But anyway, that's what I thought of the Hunter x Hunter anime. Alright, now we move on to talking about Harley Quinn animated, Season 2. So, I thought that this season wasn't nearly as good as Season 1. While still being really good, which should give you an idea of just how much I loved Season 1 of Harley Quinn Animated. This season, like I said, it was really good. I loved a lot of it. There was a lot of great comedy, and the Joker and Harley Quinn interactions, after, both before and after the Joker are, like, reverted back to his crazy state, are, like, really good, and I really liked that aspect of the season when it got into it later. But I think one of my main issues with this season that I did have is that like the love triangle does kind of take up a bit too much focus, But here's the thing, like even though like the love triangle, I feel like it did take up a bit too much focus in this season. But like it let's be honest, the love triangle is like not nearly as bad as it could have been. Like Legend of Korra, for example, the whole Makora business was so much worse. Like, I feel like because here's the thing, the love triangle is much more interesting in this story than in Legend of Korra, because, you actually see why both legitimate pairings for Harley Quinn would make some amount of sense. Like there are reasons why I want there are reasons why I want there are reasons why I want Poison Ivy and Kite Man to be together, but there are also reasons why I want Poison Ivy and like Harley Quinn to be together. So that's interesting. Whereas in The Legend of Korra, for example, like there was literally no reason whatsoever for me wanting Mako and Korra to get together. Like they basically almost had no chemistry whatsoever, and I just like hated everything about that fucking ship. It was so fucking cringe. But and I feel like the other thing I like is that Kite Man is definitely treated with respect in this story. Like it isn't just he's like cast aside, and he actually like is the one to eventually end up leaving Ivy in the end. I like that because I like Kite Man. He's a great character, and like I feel like the writers really did manage to treat him with dignity in this season. Like we stan Harlivy, but we also stan Kite Man most of all. That's what I'm saying. But in the end though, like the love triangle was definitely one of the better love triangles that I've seen. But at the same time, like I don't really like love triangles that much. It's just like it's just not really that interesting to me to see like people fighting over like the love of a person. It's just like just try some poly ships for fuck's sake. Like do it, you cowards. Just make one giant orgy between people. Satan, I'm horny. Oh my gosh. But going on to other things that I liked about this season. I really liked the Batman episode. That was really funny. I really liked it. I feel like I feel like I liked the first half of the season more than the second half, where basically Harley Quinn was dealing with the various villains of Gotham, and I feel like that subplot was just kind of breezed over too fast, and I thought it was really interesting. But then Harley Quinn goes through this plot of like trying to at the end becoming a major villain herself, but then sort of chooses not to because like she's a bad guy, but she's not the bad guy, and whatever. But yeah, basically also another thing I really liked about the season is Mr. Freeze. Mr. Freeze was a fantastic character. I really love what they did with him in this season. It is really kind of sad that he went through like all that to save his wife, and then like his wife immediately just forgot about him and moved on after he died and started sleeping around. Like that was, I honestly feel bad for the dude because like he spent all this time like trying to save his wife, and it just seems like his wife didn't really even care about them that much. But I mean, like it just feels like I would say it just feels like in season one, the season was definitely paced a lot better. It felt like everything was moving toward a natural conclusion. With this season, though, I feel like it did sort of jump all over the place at times. Like, for example, Dr. Psycho ending up being the main villain of the finale. That was, well, not the finale, the penultimate episode. But like, that was just kind of weird for me. Like, really, Dr. Psycho is the main villain of this season. Like, in the previous season, it was the Joker. Like, Harley Quinn was kind of trying to come to terms with like everything about who she was and this man who was like manipulating her this entire time. And this time it's just fucking Dr. Psycho. Like I will say, even though he's not a very compelling villain, I did like how basically the reason he was defeated is because he like popped a boner and was turned on by Harley and Ivy kissing and lost his concentration. That was honestly really hilarious and totally in character. But in the end, like he's just not like really completely threatening, and I just didn't really find him being the ending villain in this arc to be in this season to be totally interesting. I will say, even though I didn't like this season nearly as much as the first season, I did still really like it, as I said before, and I really am hoping that we get a season 3. So yeah, that's what I thought about Harley Quinn season 2. All right, Ruby Volume 8. Let's talk about it. So Ruby is certainly, well, let's just say its fan base is a goddamn mess right now. But not talking about the fan base, just gonna be talking about the show. And if I had to describe season 8, I'd say season 8 of Ruby was good, but very disappointing. I felt like there were many missed opportunities of things that could have been done in this season. And like, because like I said, I thought it was good. I thought there were a lot of great moments in this series. Like, for example, some of the character development with Nora, some of the stuff going on with like Penny, some of the moments, like for example the Grimm being destroyed, with like the Grim Whale being destroyed. That was just like a gorgeously animated sequence. Some of the fights and scenarios were really good, and like some of the moments, like for example, the "to be worthy" speech from Watts to Cinder, that was just really good. But yeah, this season was good, but it's just like there's so many missed opportunities of what to do with it. Like for example, this season hardly focused on the Faunus at all. Like seriously, are the White Fang even a thing anymore? That plot line that was just spent so much time on before, and yet like in this season, which is set in like literally the most racist and bigoted kingdom out of all of them, like the White Fang and fighting for equality between the Faunus and humans, this is like it's completely dropped. It isn't brought up at all, and like there's basically almost no mention of like the the struggle between the humans and the Fauns. So that was just seems like the show is just completely dropping that plot point, and like in the best place to integrate that plot point, and it's just like, and like on top of that, like some of the themes of like class struggle and that kind of thing that were sort of brought up in the previous season are just kind of dropped. Ironwood just becomes like this sort of tyrannical dictator with like not much complexity to him. It's just like for crying out loud, Crow and Robin spent like almost the entire season in a cage. Like really, that's the best use you can come up with for like two of the most important characters in this like arc. It's just like really, it's just like it just felt like there were so many opportunities for this season to go in, and that it doesn't really take much, and told a entertaining and good season, but just not one that is just like super engaging or like really shakes the story up. I don't know. Like here's the other thing that just bothers me. Like Cinder's character, like she still hasn't even changed, because like there was this whole great speech that Watt's character gave to her about like being worthy, and it seems like she was finally going to change. But then in the end, she just betrays Neo anyway, and it's just like, really? We're on season 8, and you still haven't fucking changed, Cinder? Come on, character development, my gosh. Oh my gosh, come on. And like I said, there were some weird things. Like, there was this one legitimately really horrific scene where like this Grimhound basically was hunting the main characters, and I thought everything about that sequence was really cool and very tense, and like the reveal that it was actually like a silver-eyed warrior who had been turned into like this grim creature, intelligent grim. It was really great, but it's just like, I feel like you can watch this season and be very entertained and like it a lot, but it's just like I feel like it doesn't as a whole come together and tell a very interesting narrative. I don't know, like I'm still interested to see what's going to happen in season 9, but the writing just has to get better. Like the writing has to evolve. It just seems like the show has a very hard time, getting out a consistent message. It feels like it's trying to say something, but it's just like it's not saying it very well or very loudly. Like the show has all these ideas, all these complex ideas that it introduces, but it never fleshes any of them out. And that's just, it's really bothersome when you see this show that has like all this potential and all these different interesting directions that it could go in, but it's just like it doesn't really take advantage of any of them, and it's just like it feels like the writing is just very amateur in a lot of parts. It's just like anyway, but yeah, I like a lot of, it's just like a lot of things are kind of just wasted in the season too. Like for example, are Ironwood and Watts and Hazel and Penny just all dead now? Like, it seems like this season just killed off a lot of characters for shock value without, like, really using them much. Like, really, Hazel is just, like, he goes through this, you didn't have anything more to do with Hazel in the future and his character. He dies, sacrificing himself, like, after turning good. It's just, like, and, oh, by the way, another thing, Emerald's character development in this series was handled, like, terribly. It's just, like, her, whole process of, like, moving over to the good side, like that was just it was not believable in any way. It's just like I was kind of confused why she was even joining Ruby and her team in the first place. It's just like very, very sloppy character turn for that, and did not really like the writing with that. Very awkward. This is like a lot of, like I said, a lot of wasted potential in this season. I didn't hate it. I don't hate Ruby. I really don't. But it's just like it has the potential to be so much more. But it's just like it refuses to go that extra mile and be really interesting. Like Oz, where it seemed like before they were building up to him being this really shady character. Like apparently he's really not, and he's really just pretty much a standard good guy who sometimes lies for like the benefit of the group, but like he hasn't really done anything that bad. Whereas Salem, who is like built up to be this sort of complex and mysterious character, really it just seems like she wants to like I don't know, be bad and destroy stuff, and like I don't know, it's just like, well, anyway, that's what I thought about RWBY season 8, and so yeah. Moving on, we will now get to Neon Genesis Evangelion. And I did not really like this show. I thought it was like, it's massively overrated in my opinion. And it's like, here's the thing, because when I hear people talk about it online and like really praising the show, I feel like what it always comes down to is, oh, like, look at all these themes of depression and that kind of thing in this series. Like, oh, this series was really instrumental to me personally, because like you know, it helped me work through my depression and whatever. And like, okay, but I don't have depression. I've never had depression. So like, if it's only good for like people who have depression, like, can you really say it's objectively good? And I would say no. And it's like you know, I did not really enjoy this series very much. And you know, and here's the other thing too, because like BoJack Horseman is a show that like heavily deals with themes of depression and mental illness and drug addiction, and like those things have nothing to do with my life personally, but it's still one of my favorite shows of all time. So it's clear that, you know, you can make a show that deals with, you know, themes of depression and mental health and like appeal to that demographic, but also be widely entertaining and consumable by a general audience. But Evangelion is not that. It just feels like this really niche, very pretentious, I don't know, like it just, I didn't like it that much. I'm gonna say it, I did not like Neon Genesis Evangelion that much. And like so let's get into some of my complaints. So first of all, some of the scenes in this anime are like, they're so slow. Like some of them just drag out for an incredibly long period of time, where just like no motion is actually happening. I think one of the worst examples of this is by the end of the series, where Shinji is basically holding Kaworu, I think that's what his name is, in his hand, basically in his mecha hand anyway, and it just drags out for like basically 2 minutes of no motion actually happening until he, you know, crushes him. And it's just like, some of the scenes in this anime are just so incredibly slow, in complete contrast to the other mecha anime that I reviewed earlier, which was Gurren Lagann, where everything is happening like so fast and there's so much motion, where it's just like in Neon Genesis Evangelion, like some of the scenes are just so dragged out. It's like it really gets boring sometimes. The other thing is, I really didn't like any of the characters outside of Misato. She's a bae, like top tier waifu in this anime. But like the other characters, Shinji is really annoying. Like Rei, basically, like she has the personality of a piece of bread. Like she really, like she's the silent type, except like whereas other silent types in other shows, they might like have, you know, actually interesting, you know aspects to their character. Rei is basically just a completely boring piece of bread. What's her face? Asuna. I think that's what her name is. Yeah, Asuna, the tsundere character. She's pretty annoying as well. Like, she constantly complains about everything and, like, is really mean to Shinji, and I did not really like her very much. So yeah, I don't really like any of the characters in the series except for Misato, who I found kind of interesting. And seriously, what's with, like, what's so weird to me is that, like, Rei and Asuna are, like, you know, heralded as like some of the great waifus of anime history, where like you know, a lot of people are like fighting over who's best girl, and it's like, first of all, like they're not even very good characters in the first place, not even very likable girls, and it's like they're also 14, and it's like it's weird that these people in the anime community are like fighting over, oh, who's like the best waifu out of all of them. And it's like, I know I was talking about before of like what's her name? Yoko Littner from Gurren Lagann, who's also supposed to be 14, but like she does not look 14. Like Rei Ayanami and Asuna from Neon Genesis Evangelion, they actually look like, you know, they look like kids, and it's just like it's really weird that people are like fighting over, you know, who's the best waifu out of all, and whatever. Anime is weird and pedophilic sometimes, but anyway, so. The other major problem with this show, you know, Neon Genesis Evangelion, is what's actually going on. Like, there's so much stuff that's unexplained, by the end of it, and like, it's building up all this stuff like that, and it seems like it's going to have some sort of conclusion, some sort of a twist, some sort of an explanation on what's going on, and then we never get it. We almost nothing is actually explained by the end. It's just like it's really ridiculous because there's no payoff. There's no payoff to any of the stuff that it's really setting up, and like the other thing that really bothersome to me about Neon Genesis Evangelion is that a lot of plot lines and a lot of stuff is just really rushed towards the end of the series. Like, I'll give you an example. Like, Shinji's relationship with Kaworu, the gay angel boy, is established, developed, and destroyed in one episode. Like, wouldn't it have been more tragic if, Shinji had bonded with him for, like, 10 episodes as a fellow Eva pilot, instead of, like, in the show where he was just, like, introduced out of nowhere, had a relationship with Shinji out of nowhere, and then died, like, immediately by the end of the episode. It was just, like, that whole thing was, like, incredibly rushed, especially for what seems like such an important plot point. And the thing is, before that, like, there was time to introduce some of these more interesting plot points and, like, really give some explanations and stuff beforehand, but rather than that, a lot of the series just feels very formulaic, where basically what happens is an angel attacks. Shinji tries to fight it. There's a 99.9999999% chance of failure, but they win anyway. That's basically what happens for the majority of the episodes in the first half of the series. Like, it's not completely terrible. There's some things I like the look of it is, I think the look of it is pretty good. There are some moments that are, like, genuinely really, really terrifying too. Like, for example, the moment where Shinji's mecha is, like, consuming that other mecha or the angel, I guess, and that was just, like, really terrifying and really cool scene. And there's some interesting ideas that the show kind of tries to build up, but again, they don't really go anywhere. And, like, the ending of the series is just, like, it's basically just a budget-saving existential jerk-off, where, like, nothing is actually explained. Like, we don't actually know what happened. Like, the Shinji is just being told, congratulations, you did it, T-Series, you beat me. I don't know why I'm referencing PewDiePie right now, but anyway, that whole ending scene where Shinji was basically getting congratulations, like, it's really, it was dumb, it was stupid, it was silly, it's like, oh my gosh. And the other thing that bothers me so much about the show is, like, people will try to, like, analyze Neon Genesis Evangelion, how, it's so deep, and it's like, there's so many layers to this story, and it's like, but here's my problem. This show is, like, obsessed with religious imagery and references and, like, having all these, having all these deeper themes that it forgot to tell an actual interesting surface level narrative. I was not interested in, like, the surface level narrative and the story that was actually being told. So if I'm not interested in that, why should I care about, like, the deeper themes and whole symbolism going on? That should be, like, a supplement to the story, not, like, the whole thing that it focuses on. So yeah, I did not really particularly care for Neon Genesis Evangelion. Think it's completely overrated and would not recommend it, honestly. All right, now we get on to talking about Code Geass, which is definitely the best mecha anime I watched this year. I have definitely been getting more into mecha anime in 2021, where I never watched any before. But anyway, yeah, I really like Code Geass. I especially like the first season, especially like the first few episodes, where I thought this series just did an incredibly well job of, like, getting you hooked on basically the story and setting everything up. So that's one of the things I think this series had a very, very strong start. And, some of the later stuff, maybe not the best, but we'll talk about that. But yeah, Code Geass, really, really great anime. I really loved a lot of it. I really like the battle tactics used with the mechas in tandem with the Geass power, which is sort of like, it's sort of like, how in what's it called? In Death Note, basically Light was having to figure out different ways to use the Death Note to succeed, and that's basically the same way it is with the Geass power, where Lelouch is trying to figure out ways to use it to advantage, which I really like. I really like this scenario of, like, these characters trying to use this supernatural power to their advantage, where it, like, seems like it's really OP, but when you're, like, dealing with a very organized force of a lot of people, it can actually have a lot of limitations. So I really like that. I will say there were kind of in this anime. I really liked a lot of it. I really liked a lot of the characters, but one of the things that did bother me is that there just seemed to be some plot contrivances. Like for example, remember that Euphoria moment in like near the end of the first season where basically Lelouch he accidentally commands Euphoria to basically start killing all the Japanese, and it's like that really seems like it was really a plot contrivance where, you know, it was trying to get the story where it needed to go. And the other thing that bothered me about that moment is like you know, it's obvious that it's sort of you know, a plot contrivance, but it also like it never is brought up again that Lelouch like doesn't have control of his Geass. Like it's basically never a factor again that Lelouch loses control of his Geass and uses it accidentally. That's never a plot point again. So it just feels like it came out of nowhere. It was used to drive the plot forward. Like Lelouch also, I feel like while Lelouch is obviously, you know, a very smart individual, I feel like he does get a little too lucky sometimes, and you know, like I said before, plot contrivances just end up allowing him to, you know, stay alive, even though he does legitimately make some mistakes that would seem to, you know, be enough to defeat him. But anyway, so plot contrivances like that sort of do bother me sometimes. Like I said, Lelouch is a little too lucky for my taste. The other thing is the second season I think was definitely not as good as the first, even though there are a lot of great aspects about it. You know, like I feel like there are a lot of things that aren't really entirely explained and just kind of come out of nowhere with like that whole Ragnarok connection plan with you know, his father and the reveal about him. I don't know if I really got that. And like, you know, there were just some moments in season 2 that were just kind of dumb. Like for example, remember that moment where, you know, basically we are all Zero, where Zero somehow like got like 1 million of his followers to all like transform into wearing the Zero mask and the Zero cloak. Like that was just really unbelievable and kind of ridiculous, and I don't even know how he possibly would have pulled something like that off in such a grand scale. But yeah, kind of some dumb moments like that in season 2, but but again, I really do like. I know it seems like I'm being overly critical, but I really do like the story of this anime. Like it's just a really great and engaging story where this character of Britannian royalty is like trying to fight back against this empire that he used to be a part of, and like you know, basically yeah, it's just like a very engaging story, and you can really feel the stakes through a lot of it because, you know, this series does get pretty dark at times. You know, it's definitely one of the darker animes out there for sure. It's not really like a PG or PG-13 kind of thing. The other thing, going back to season 2, where some of my problems with it, I really didn't like how it was just basically a reset of the developments in season 1 with Lelouch, you know, losing his memory and going back to school time drama. There were some really great moments I liked in season 2, where basically one of my favorites was probably Shirley's death, which was just incredibly impactful and like, you know, really didn't need to happen, but was just like, you know, that really stung me. And a lot of moments like that, but yeah, I just feel like season 2 definitely had quite a bit of problems and wasn't like season 1 was, even though season 1 also did have some problems, it was very structurally sound and was very well paced throughout a lot of it. Whereas in season 2, I feel like a lot of it was rushed in many ways. I feel like we could have done with maybe one more season to sort of kind of wrap everything up consistently and make it make sense. I don't know. It's just like I did definitely have some problems with part 2 of the series, but yeah, going back to things I liked, first of all, C2, she is best girl. I love how she just savagely roasts anyone in her path, and this is like so incredibly sarcastic and has this dry sense of humor. Like it's weird because C2, she doesn't really even like do a ton of stuff, even though she definitely is useful at times. But she's just like such an incredibly entertaining character, and I just love like every single interaction she has, which is weird because she's played by the same in the English dub anyway. She's played by the same voice actress who played Sakura, who's like one of like the worst female characters of all time. But I just really like C2. She's definitely best girl, and C2 and Lelouch are adorable together. By the way, MVP ship of 2021, the year of our Lord. The other thing that bothered me is that there was a lot of fan service in this anime that I didn't really think was entirely necessary and just sort of took me out of the experience sometimes. And some strange filler episodes. Like there was an entire filler episode about like Lelouch trying to get his mask back from this cat who stole it, and like this pizza episode, and like it's just like it was really weird that there was like out of there was just like out of nowhere these episodes where like the plot didn't go forward really at all, and it's just like these goofy school time scenarios, and that just, I don't know, that did sort of take me out of the story sometimes. I will say though, Callan, she is dummy thick. Like she is dummy thick. Prime, top tier, dummy thick anime character. What is it with redheads in anime? Like what is it with redheads in general? Why are they so god tier? Anyway, but yeah. Anyway. Also, the other thing I really have to say is really good about this anime is like Lelouch of the Rebellion is one of the best protagonists or characters in pretty much anything ever. I just really loved his character. It was so incredibly engaging. I really like how he's like such a better character than Light Yagami from Death Note, because basically when you're watching Death Note, let's be honest, we're all rooting for L to win. Like Light is sort of the more boring character who's sort of just went off the deep end and into this like maniacal tirade and this god complex, whereas Lelouch, like he definitely does some very morally questionable things, and like he sort of does have these like sociopathic traits, but he never really loses his humanity, and he always like grapples with the fact that like innocents are being caught up in this war. And I really like that because even though he does go down like this really dark path, and the path of blood as it's said, he always retains this element of like reflection and that kind of thing, and that's what I really liked about his character throughout the entire series. And I just really liked his outlook on everything, and I just really liked his character. Lelouch is fantastic. He's one of the best anime characters of all time, and one of the best protagonists of all time. And I just really liked him. The other thing I have to talk about Lelouch of the Rebellion is the ending, where basically when I was being recommended by the show on YouTube, basically people were hyping up the ending as like it was like the greatest ending in anime ever. And so it's like, I don't know about the ending is like, because here's the thing, the ending makes thematic sense, and like because sort of obviously Lelouch, like he wouldn't want to I get why Lelouch wouldn't want to want to create this world where people were like forced to obey and forced to get along by using the power of Gios, because there was this whole theme throughout the series of like Gios, sort of destroying people's lives and that sort of thing. And I think that it was thematically resonant in that way for the ending. But also, I feel like it wasn't the brightest plan by Lelouch for sure, because like I don't really understand why when he was trying to defeat Prince Schnigel, who was greatly threatening the peace and prosperity of the world, like he just ended up turning the Black Knights against him, when he could have sort of allied with them temporarily to defeat Prince Schnigel. And then like it just felt like he sort of risked too much with that whole maneuver. And then like it also feels like that he might have been able to assure a more just world better by like legitimately continuing to rule over the country of Britannia. And I understand why he wouldn't want to, because he was like trying to make himself the villain, because everyone had this idea of him as this person who like tries to manipulate everyone. But yeah, I get that, but I just feel like I don't know, like his whole plan of creating world peace, like he doesn't really have any assurance that like all the nations are just going to get along after he's dead. So I don't know, that did just sort of like I don't know, his brilliant plan to basically have Zero kill him in the end, like it just felt like there were too many things that could have gone wrong with the world after he died. So I just, that part did bother me about the ending. But overall, Code Geass, a fantastic show. Lelouch v Britannia, a fantastic character and protagonist. So that's what I think of Code Geass. Adventure Time, Distant Lands. So yeah, Distant Lands, the basically the spin-off specials that basically came after Adventure Time was over. Yeah, so I watched these and I'll go through them one by one. So the BMO story, I didn't care about it at all, honestly. Like, I find BMO to be a pretty boring character. Like, here's the thing. BMO's plot lines, like, their plot lines have almost never interested me. Like, whenever BMO gets a starring role in an episode of Adventure Time, I don't care, because, like, I don't find them very interesting. Like, don't get me wrong, they're good in a, they're good in a supporting role. Like, BMO has a bunch of funny and great lines throughout the series, where they're, basically, one thing I remember about BMO is this, like, this one moment where they're basically like, if anyone comes through this door, I will kill them. Like, they're funny in a supporting role, but it's just like, you never want BMO as the main focus. Like, it's not interesting to me. I don't find them interesting. Like, it's just, so I didn't really care about this first story at all, the BMO story. I didn't find it interesting at all. Didn't care about it, barely remember anything about it. So moving on, Obsidian was awesome, so good, like, so absolutely adorable. Marceline and Bubblegum are MVP ship for 2021, the year of our Lord. So yeah, really liked Obsidian. Really liked the character interactions between Marcy and Bubblegum. Really felt the character development going on between them. Seeing how much they've changed since the series first started out. Really liked Obsidian, absolutely great. Moving on to Together Again, which was the Together Again was so awesome, man. Oh my gosh, Together Again, it was so good. Like, everything about it was so good. Like, so many feels, so many laughs, so much nostalgia. I just like everything about the way this episode was presented. I thought it was such an amazing send-off. Like, much better than the actual finale of the series, in my opinion. Even though I did like the finale, I feel like this was a much better resolution to Jake and Finn's character arcs throughout the series. It was just, like, so incredible. I enjoyed every minute of watching Together Again. And, like, isn't it so Adventure Time to have the final episode be the two main characters being dead? Like, only Adventure Time would have just the two main characters dying, and then them just, like, the final episode having them, like, navigate the Ender World, or, like, that's just, like, Adventure Time is, like, Adventure Time is just, like, you won't find many shows like it out there. It's just, like, so incredibly unique and weird, and just, like, doing all these things that you would not expect, like, a cartoon show, and especially a kid's show, to do. It just, like, goes there, and it goes to those places. It shows, like, Finn being traumatized about the death of his best friend, and going to hell and back, literally, to try to find him after he dies. And, like, it's just, like, oh, man, this series was truly, like, something else, man. It's just, like, even though it didn't always have consistent quality, it truly did go to places that other cartoon shows and other shows just did not go to. But anyway, but you see, it actually isn't true that the Together Again episode was the final episode, because the actual final episode of Distant Lands was Wizard City. And Wizard City, I thought it was good, but not great. There were some funny moments, not many laugh out louds, to be honest. I did find the character development for Peppermint pretty interesting. Him sort of, moving past, the demands of his older, younger self. Basically the previous version of himself, Peppermint Butler, trying to, get on his case all the time, and him realizing that, okay, I don't have to be this, even though, this previous version of me was this. So I did find that interesting, but, like, why was this the finale? Why was this the last episode, released? It definitely should have been Together Again. That was a perfect way to end off the series, and it's just, like, Wizard City was fun, kind of good, but it's just, like, that was not a satisfying finale. Definitely should not have been the last one released. Anyway, so what I will say is, Distant Lands, pretty damn good, except for the BMO episode, which I found completely boring. I will say it's definitely a better epilogue than Steven Universe Future was, which I have, like, so many criticisms towards, which I will talk about in a future video, by the way. But and Adventure Time in general is just a much better show than Steven Universe, in my opinion. Like, there are definitely problems with Adventure Time, but it's much better show than Steven Universe, in my opinion. In my opinion, though, Distant Lands was actually better than the final season of Adventure Time, too. Like, I found this Distant Lands to be incredibly enjoyable. Like, even after the season had ended, and I was generally satisfied with how it ended. Distant Lands was just really good, and I'm really glad they did these episodes. I really felt like they added a lot, except for the Mimo storyline. I do not care about them when they're in the supporting role. I do not care. I don't care about Bimo. Okay, so anyway, that is the end of me talking about Distant Lands. Infinity Train, seasons 3 to 4. So, I watched seasons 1 and 2 in the year of 2020. So, watched 3 and 4 in this year, so I'm going to talk about them. I do not think these seasons were as good as seasons 1 and 2. I don't know, I guess it just, there wasn't the same investment of the characters as there was in, for the characters, for me, as there was in, like, Tulip and her, and her mirror self, that there was in seasons 1 and 2. I just really, got attached to, those characters and the whole arcs throughout the series, but, throughout the seasons, but I just didn't really, I don't feel like I cared about the characters as much in seasons 3 and 4. That's not to say there isn't stuff to like. Like, for example, season 3 it actually does have some pretty interesting stuff going on about, like, this sort of the nature of, like, artificial intelligence, and, you know, like, a lot of dark stuff too. Like, Simon just fucking dies. He just fucking dies. Like, his corpse, like, gets incinerated and stuff, and, like, everything that happened with Hazel and Tuba, like, that story was just, like, really, really dark, and really went a lot of places, and, like, sort of, you know, brought up a lot of these interesting conundrums about, like, you know, artificial intelligence on these trains, and, like, you know, how does any of this matter in the end? And it's just, like, so there were definitely a lot of interesting stuff going on in season 3 with, like, this rebel organization of, like, these kids and teenagers going on, and I did like it, but it just always struck me as weird when watching season 3 how differently Simon and Grace ended up reacting to the situation they were put into. Well, like, they seem to have the same attitude about the train beforehand, but then, like, as the story goes on, like, Grace's attitude, like, towards things, like, really takes somewhat of a 180, whereas Simon just sort of goes deeper and deeper into, like, this dark path, and, like, it was just a little odd how quickly their characters diverged when they seemed to be, like, on the same page originally. I don't know. This just sort of struck me as odd. Plus, here's the other thing: how did Simon get so many numbers so quickly? Like, his like how did he get enough numbers by the end to, like, be, like, taken over and, like, disintegrated by them? I don't really get that. Like, that wasn't really explained. And and plus Simon's you know, development into a full-on villain, like, wasn't really handled amazingly, in my opinion. It could have been done better. In my opinion, it just felt like kind of rushed, and I don't know. It's just like I liked season 3, but it wasn't, like, amazing in my opinion. Not as good as season 1 and 2. Season 4 was honestly kind of boring to me. Like, I didn't really like it that much. The stakes didn't feel very high, and I found Min and Ryan to be generally kind of boring characters, and Kez, also, you know, that Belle that was following them around, could also get kind of boring as well, and annoying. I don't know, it's just like, season 4 had some kind of enjoyable moments for me, but it just didn't really, there wasn't that much grabbing to me about it. And, like, here's the thing: if season 4 is supposed to be the last season, that's a pretty unsatisfying way to end it, since, like, nothing having to do with the train was actually resolved. Like, there was, like, there's sort of this whole thing going on in the background in season 4, and, like, it's foreshadowing, like, there are problems with the train, but, like, nothing ever really comes of that in the end. And, like, I don't know, it's just like, I feel like Infinity Train just doesn't have the same appeal that it used to. It doesn't have the same magic that it started out as, like, where you were basically trying to figure out, you know, what was going on with this whole train thing, and, you know, but now it's just like some of the magic is taken away, where you know more stuff, and it's just like you keep getting introduced to these different characters, seeing how they're going to work through the trains. It's just like it's less interesting each time you go through it. It's just like I don't know. It's just like not as interesting to me anymore, seeing these characters work through their issues through the train cars as it was in, like, season 1. And I don't know. Yeah, it's just you know, not as interesting to me anymore. So yeah, season 3 and 4, I did enjoy season 3, not as much season 4, but not, Infinity Train just doesn't have the same magic as it did in the first season, I would say. So that's basically what I thought about season 3 and 4 of Infinity Train. So now we finally get to talking about Attack on Titan season 4, which yeah, this was probably my favorite show that I watched all year. I mean, it's just like, it's Attack on Titan, man. It's just so freaking good. It's yeah, so Attack on Titan season 4. I already did a review of it on my channel, so I'm not going to spend too much time here. But let's just say Attack on Titan season 4, while not quite as good as season 3 in my opinion, was just so incredibly fantastic in so many ways. Like, the story just got to this incredibly interesting level with all these, like, moral ambiguity, and the main character Eren becoming this incredibly fascinating, incredibly engaging and threatening and really badass character, and like all these different stuff going on. I really like the shift in the point of view that happened in the first half of the season, where we were sort of getting to know everything going on in Marley with the Marleyan warriors and all that kind of stuff. And I really liked all the backstory of Reiner, which is just like has become one of the most interesting characters in the show by this point. And it's just like Attack on Titan is so freaking good, man. Like and this season just was really good in like so many ways. It really hit the nail on the head. And it's just like, some people complain about the animation, and like, yeah, the animation isn't quite at the quality it has been in the past, but it certainly didn't look terrible. And again, like, even if the animation isn't quite as good as we've got it with Studio Wit in the past, like, the writing and character development is just so good that it's just like you can sort of get past that point of the animation kind of not maybe looking as good. So yeah, I really absolutely loved. Like I said, I talked about it before, so I won't spend too much time on it, but I really absolutely loved Season 4, Part 1 of Attack on Titan. Really excited for the second part to come out, which will be coming out soon, obviously in January. And the other thing I gotta say is, I'm just gonna say it. Gabby is a great character, and I'm tired of pretending she's not. Dab on those haters, Gabby. You saved potato kind. Now we're going to be talking about Invincible, Season 1. I basically, heard a lot of great things about the show. So, it was like, it was this really popular thing that a lot of people were talking about online. So, I checked it out. And, this show was really great. Especially the last 2 episodes, which I, like, could not pause throughout the entire thing. Like, I was going, oh, hey, maybe I should work on some homework while I'm watching this. No, I need to finish because it's just so freaking good and incredible and like so tension filled. And yeah, Invincible, it's pretty good. It's pretty damn good. A lot of the characters, like the characters were all pretty well written, very entertaining. Like especially, I think one character that I did not expect to like as well as I did, but I really did end up liking her, is Debbie. Mark Grayson's mom. She was just a very engaging character throughout this entire thing. Where like she's like a human character. She doesn't have any kind of superpowers. But she also is, like, really engaging, where she's, like, doing all this stuff to try and figure out, what her husband is up to and trying to come to grips with, the fact that he might be, like, a murderer and this really bad person. And I found her character arc, like, incredibly engaging throughout this story. So, yeah, I really liked pretty much almost all of the characters, except for Amber, that fucking bitch. So here's a question I have for you, Amber. So why were you getting so mad at Mark abandoning you in episode 6 if you knew that he was invincible, so he didn't really abandon you? Like, that whole bullshit about, like, oh, I've known you're invincible for weeks now. And it's like, that whole scene was so dumb because, like, if you knew he was invincible, why are you getting on his case so much? And it's like, well, you lied to me and you weren't telling me the truth. Okay, first of all, it's called a secret identity. And like this whole bullshit about like in the final episode where she was talking about, looks like we were both lied to, and like, oh, okay, sure. So this guy who was lying to you to protect himself and protect you from you not being in danger, like, sure, that's totally the same thing as like Mark Grayson being lied to about the entire history of his race and his dad turning out to be like this insane evil psychopath. Yeah, totally the same thing. It's just like, this character is like so incredibly unlikable, and so she's not even that bad. Like for the first 6 episodes or so, it's just like when you find out that she knew that Mark Grayson was like invincible that entire time, and she was like being so incredibly hard on him. Like I feel like what the writers were trying to do with Amber and that reveal that she knew Mark was invincible. What they were trying to do is they were trying to make her, they were trying to make her seem more intelligent. Like, you thought like it was going to be this whole reveal that she couldn't figure out that he was invincible, but she actually knew for a while now, and it's like they were trying to make her seem smarter, but at the same time, they made her seem smarter, but also a lot less likable and incredibly unreasonable. And it's just like, because here's my problem. Like, why don't you just don't do the whole secret identity thing anyway? Like, it's because this whole superhero show where it's basically trying to go over like the more realistic aspects of superheroism. Like, why are we still on that cliche of like the secret identity shit? Like, why are we still doing this? It's so boring. And it's like, and it's like, I get it. Okay, I get it. Like, there is a reason why superheroes might want to have their identity kept secret, you know, because, you know, it would be like, you know, the press would be on them, and like their family members would be in danger and that kind of thing. And I get it, but here's the thing: how can people not figure out that like Eve is Adam Eve and like Nolan is Omni Man? Like they're not covering their faces. Why are we still doing this? Why are we still doing the secret identity shit? It's so boring. Like it's just, oh my gosh, it's just that is one part that really frustrated me about this. It's like the whole secret identity thing, and like it's so weird too, because like some of the like some of the characters' like identities are just revealed so incredibly casually. Like it's just like, oh, you know, for example, Nolan is just like it's just so hilarious to me, because Nolan is like flying around, not particularly paying attention to if anyone is seeing him, like in his Omni-Man costume, and like you know, it's just so ridiculous how casually these characters go around with like you know, pretty obviously, you know, leaving their secret identities out there for everyone to see, and yet it's treated as this big thing about, oh, secret identities, and you got to keep it secret, and I don't care, and it makes no sense in the first place. So that is one thing that bothered me about Invincible. I didn't really like that aspect. But going back to things I actually did like, you know, of course, Nolan as a villain, Omni-Man, he was like an incredibly great villain. You know, that first scene where he you know, killed the basically discount Justice League, Guardians of the Globe, I guess. That was like incredibly brutal, and like this entire tension going on throughout the entire show of like, oh, what's he gonna do? What terrible thing is he gonna do next? What's his plan? What's his goal? It was really interesting. A lot of great tension throughout this entire series. I really like that. Also, like I was sort of getting at before, the show is violent as fuck, and it's amazing. Like that final fight between like, disregarding everything else, that final fight between Nolan and his son was just like incredibly brutal. That train sequence, man. Oh my gosh, that train sequence. That train sequence, man. That was just a lot of brutality in this series, and I really liked it. Really liked that it sort of went all out and just made it like incredibly bloody. Just it, you know, it. I guess you could say it is kind of excessive, but like it works for the story it's trying to tell, and it works for like showing the realistic aspects of this superhero story, where like they're showing, oh, this character's trying to save this civilian, and they like end up pulling their arm off accidentally, and it's just like you know, with their super strength and stuff like that, and it's just like really like that aspect of it. Also, Battle Beast is a fucking savage. This cat is I don't think I've ever seen a more brutal slaughter than what Battle Beast pulled. Like he's just, and it's like they introduced him so casually, like he's just another one of the thugs of this machine head guy, and he just like demolishes fucking everyone. It's just fucking insane. What was that episode, man? It was just insane, man. Anyway, anyway, Invincible is really good, but one thing I do sort of does bother me about it is a lot of the plot lines in the season don't really come together to have much weight in the final climax. Like the final fight between Nolan and you know, his son, Invincible. Like you know, a lot of the other stuff that was going on, like for example, Eve's whole storyline and her character arc about like becoming more independent and trying to figure out stuff for herself. Like Robot's whole storyline about him creating this clone body from Rexplode. Like none of that really factored into the actual climax of the series. And like like I get it, okay, like it's setting up things that will have more payoff in season 2, but it's just like for this season in particular, this season on its own, I feel like a lot of the subplots didn't really come together in the end. It just felt like their own thing, separate from the main plot. So that is one issue I had. But anyway, yeah, Invincible, really great, really loved it, really great show, and definitely check it out. Lego Ninjago, seasons 9 to 10. Yeah, I'm still watching Lego Ninjago. I mean, I used to be a really big fan of the show. Like, it was one of my shows when I was growing up. Like, I watched it when it was first coming out, like in season 1, then season 2, season 3. So I've been watching it since, like, it was first coming out. So I definitely have a lot of nostalgic attachment to this series. But what's interesting about Lego Ninjago is, like, I know it's hard to believe if you haven't watched the show, but Lego Ninjago seriously has one of the deepest and most complex lores of any series ever. But it's also confusing as fuck. Like, it's just, like, really hard to actually wrap your head around, like, everything that's going on, because there's so many of these different elements, and, like, a bunch of plot holes, too. Like, I feel like some people in the Ninjago fandom don't really acknowledge it, but, like, there are a lot of plot holes in this series, a lot of retcons too, and it just feels like I don't know. It just feels like for a Lego franchise, it should not be this complicated. It should not be this difficult to understand. I'm just saying, like it's just all these different things to keep track of, and it's just like, again, it's like the writers can't even keep track of it all because there's all these like plot holes and retcons and sort of ridiculous bullshit going on with the timeline. And but yeah, going back to the actual seasons that I'm reviewing, season 9 is definitely a very unique season where basically the main characters, for the first time I've ever seen, where the main characters are split up from the main plot. Like, the 4 main ninja, Jay, Kai, Cole, and Zane are basically, they're on this side plot, whereas the main plot going on with in Ninjago City is carried by Lloyd and the other characters. And I feel like that was very interesting. It's also probably what's going to happen in season 9 of Ruby, which is also pretty coincidental. But anyway, I thought season 9 was pretty good, all things considered. Definitely one of the better seasons of Ninjago. I like that we were learning more about the history of the world and seeing new locations, even if, more retcons to some of the stuff we've learned in the past and more timeline fuckery and just confusing stuff. So, yeah, but I did really like the season, and one of the things I really liked is that I feel like it was such a missed opportunity to have, because in season 4 of the series, it introduced all these different elementals, these different people who control the elements, which, again, retcons with that too, but, what are you going to do? Season 4 was one of my favorite seasons, and it introduced all these really cool elementals that could have played a bigger part in the series going forward, but then it just kind of ignored them and still focused on the main characters, didn't really address the fact that there's all these elementals walking around. And, I really did like that in season 9, all of these elementals sort of came back and, did play this major part, and especially Skylar, who was, one of my favorite characters in the series, and she just got shafted. Whereas I feel like she should have become one of the main cast, and she played a big part in this season, and I feel like they made a very interesting use of her power. So I did definitely like that. So yeah, season 9 was definitely good. It wasn't great or anything. I wouldn't really say any of the seasons of Ninjago are great, to be honest. It's a kid's show, and it definitely did have some good moments, and there was definitely a lot of effort put into this kids show, but it's not like, for example, it's not like Gravity Falls or Avatar: The Last Airbender. It's not that caliber of a TV show. It's sort of like it's a kids show, and it's just it does sort of have a lot of these dumb sort of more kiddie moments, and I feel like as I've grown into more mature, I've sort of been able to see Ninjago as maybe not the genius masterpiece that it was in my head when I was younger. But, it's just, honestly, the quality of writing in the show has just been very inconsistent for a while. But, like I said, I did enjoy season 9, and I thought it was pretty good. Definitely one of the better seasons. Season 10 is, so short. It's really weird. It's, 4 episodes. And it's, but basically the main arc is that these Oni are coming back, and, Lord Garmadon is, being released to try to use him to fight against them. And I like more Lord Garmadon, because I've always liked Lord Garmadon, but I do like that he's getting more focus. But I think his arc of turning over to the good side again, or sort of, I guess, changing his ways, could have been handled better. It felt kind of rushed to me. And again, it still doesn't make up for, I feel like with Lord Garmadon, them bringing him back in season 8 and making him a main villain again, it's just, it all feels like overcompensation how wasted Lord Garmadon's character was in season 2. He was supposed to be the main villain, and he was completely shafted throughout all of season 2 though, and he was just taken over by the Overlord in the end. And I feel like they're basically trying to do damage control, and oh hey, we had this really popular villain Lord Garmadon and we completely wasted him earlier, so 5 seasons later we're just gonna bring him back and make him the main villain again. It's just it's cool, but it just feels like overcompensation for screw-ups that happened in earlier seasons. So that is one of my problems. I don't really think I'm going to continue watching this series. I'm content to just end it at season 10. One of the weird things is I think the next seasons for this series that have already come out by this point are 11-minute episodes. And why? Why are you reducing the length of the episodes? I don't really understand that. But yeah, anyway, Lego Ninjago is a series I have a lot of nostalgia for. But, I don't know. I think it's time to let it go. I'm not really particularly interested in following the story of these Legos anymore. I think I'm good just cutting it off at season 10, which was okay and had some good stuff. And again, season 9, I liked. Definitely one of the better seasons. So that's what I thought about Lego Ninjago. Anyway, let's talk about Full Metal Alchemist. The original Full Metal Alchemist, which I found to be very enjoyable. And I gotta say something, but might trigger some folks, but I think Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood is overrated. It's not the masterpiece everyone says it is. And I actually think that the original Full Metal Alchemist that came out in 2003 had a lot of things that it did much better than the, I think it was 2008 or was it 2011? Yeah. But I think that, yeah, I really like the original Full Metal Alchemist, and I feel like I should have definitely watched this before I watched the Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood. So let's, because here's the thing. The first 10 episodes of Brotherhood are pretty bad. They're pretty terrible. Like, let's be honest here. They did a really terrible and rushed way of, like, setting everything up. Like, this really over-the-top way of conveying all this information. Just, like, it did not flow naturally at all. Like, the first 10 episodes of Brotherhood are just not good. They're not good. I don't like them. I don't really find any motivation to revisit them in any way. By comparison, 2003 is much, much better at adapting the early sections of the story. It had a very competent introduction to the series. I really liked how, everything was paced and everything of how it basically set up the story. And I just really like a lot of the early sections. Like the first half or so of Full Metal Alchemist, the original 2003, I really liked it, and I really liked how it basically portrayed everything. Like, that happened in the manga. Like, for example, I'll give you an example. Major Hughes's death, and it's like so much better in the 2003 series than it is in the Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood series, where in the Brotherhood series it's just like basically skipped over, and it's like handled with all the dramatic weight of can't think of a metaphor, something that doesn't have much dramatic weight, even though, obviously it's really big, important moment in the story. But yeah, felt like it was done much better in 2003. I honestly, in Brotherhood, I hated the Nina moment. I thought it was like done so incredibly badly. It's just so incredibly over the top, where like the music is blaring the entire time, like at the top of the incredibly loud sounds where, Tucker is basically like screaming at Ed, and they're basically just having the screaming contest at each other. It's just like that entire Nina plot line that happened in the original that happened in Brotherhood. It just it was done so badly, in my opinion. Like, I hated it when I first watched it, but comparing it to how it was done in the 2003 version, where there was all this extra moments between Nina and the boys, and like the subtlety and the quietness and just like the incredible unease of how that moment was handled in in the original 2003 version, it was just so much better in every way. And the fact that they actually like get to see Nina's corpse, like, it's just like, oh my gosh, it was so incredibly good. And this original series is like a lot darker than Brotherhood, by the way. It's just like, Brotherhood seems like more of your shonen anime, where it's obviously violent, but it doesn't get too overly dark. No, this original series, like, it gets dark. Like, there are, like, for example, take Barry the Chopper, for instance, who in the Brotherhood series is basically like this comic relief character, even though he's supposed to be a serial killer. In this series, in the original Full Metal Alchemist series, he's like this terrifying mass murderer who you actually see him like cutting people up, and it's just like, yeah, this original series was definitely quite a bit darker than the reboot that followed closer to the manga. And I actually really like a lot of the creative changes made from the source material in the 2003 version. Like, for example, I really like the way that the homunculi are done in this series. Like, for example, in the Brotherhood series and in the original manga, the homunculi are basically just the result of the villain creating them, like trying to cast out all his impurities. That's basically how the homunculi came to be. I find it much more interesting in the 2003 version, where the homunculi are basically the result of failed human transmutations. So you have like the characters actually having to deal with the homunculi much more personally, because they're the result of their failures, and having like, for crying out loud, having like Edward and Alphonse like having to deal with like the reincarnation of their mother as a homunculi, like that's fantastic. That's amazing writing. I really like the way that was done. Also, Shao Tucker, like he didn't die in this series, and he's brought back after supposedly being executed for the crime of, illegal human transmutation. And I really like that they brought him back, because I felt like they did a lot of really interesting things with this character in this series. But also, I feel like them bringing Shao Tucker back explained one of the plot holes or inconsistencies that I had with the original, with the manga and the Brotherhood series, which is that I never understood how these human chimeras were just appearing and following Greed in the Brotherhood series, when there was this big deal made of how Shao Tucker was able to create these human chimera experiments, and then we find out later that there are actually just tons of these. They're actually much more perfected than Shao Tucker's original experiments. But then in this series, because Tucker isn't gone, it's actually explained that he was actually the one who was perfecting all these experiments and creating these human chimeras. So that I really like that aspect of it. And I really like a lot of I really liked a lot of things about the 2003 anime compared to the original. Sorry, I keep saying original. It's just because I watched the Brotherhood series first, and I feel like I definitely should have watched the 2003 anime first and then watched Brotherhood, because there's just another thing I like is there's just a lot more subtlety with the music and scenery in the 2003 series, whereas things feel more over the top and more there's just, I don't know, I don't really like how a lot of the scenes were played in the Brotherhood series, where it just feels like things are very over the top. The music is booming all the time during the big moments, where there's just a lot of moments of quiet and calming and melancholy music in the 2003 series, which I really liked. And I really liked some of the filler too, where basically there were these episodes where Alphonse and Elric are trying to reconsider their goals and what they're trying to accomplish, and if getting their bodies back will really heal them for real. So again, I really liked a lot of things in 2003, and I think it provides a lot of great things. And people who say, don't watch 2003, just watch Brotherhood is better, they do not know what they're talking about. There's so much to offer from this original series, things that were done much better than Brotherhood. So I think people definitely should watch the 2003 anime. Just putting that out there. But yeah, so the problem with this anime though is, what a lot of people say, which is that the ending is not very good. The ending of the series feels incredibly rushed. The climax of Brotherhood was much better and wrapped up, pretty much all the loose ends, while the climax of 2003 basically doesn't wrap up anything, almost. I mean, the whole plot twist of alchemy being tied to alternate dimensions makes almost no sense. There was almost no build-up to it whatsoever. Just a lot of, plot holes. Why the hell would Bradley give the key to Salim? That was, the only thing that could possibly defeat him. Just made no sense. It was a complete cop-out that Mustang was able to beat him that way. On top of that, Dante was not, she was not a very interesting or, threatening villain in the end. She didn't really amount to much. And, yeah. There are still good things about the second half where it branches away from the manga material. Lust and Scar's character developments, by the way, they were handled beautifully in this series. I really loved what they did with Lust and Scar and how their characters were wrapped up. But it is definitely clear to me that there should have been more episodes to wrap up the series. I feel like it would have been better if the series had been given the same episode count as Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood, which is 64 episodes, whereas this one, even though it took longer to set things up, it was given only 51 episodes as opposed to 64. So I feel like a lot of things were rushed by the end. Not a very good ending, but still, even though not the best ending or climax, still a very enjoyable experience. And I really like checking out 2003 version. So I would heavily recommend it for Full Metal Alchemist fans. All right, moving on to talking about Madoka Magica. This series is dark, man. This series is dark. And I loved it for that. I love dark shit, if you haven't noticed by now. And Madoka Magica, that series, I really like this series. Basically, I watched it on Netflix. It's really interesting how it inverts magical girl anime tropes where, it's just really fucked up where basically the main character is just go through this process of finding out more and more and more of just how screwed up everything is, what's going on, and what Cube is doing. And I definitely really liked everything about that, and just like how screwed up this anime was, and like these dark themes that it presented, despite appearing at first glance just like, oh, this cutesy magical girl show. I really liked it. I also really liked the characters and how complex they were. They were written pretty well. I liked the main character, Madoka. I liked Sayora, or whatever her name is. I don't know. I have trouble with names. But anyway, yeah, I really liked the characters. I thought they were written pretty well. So my favorite episode of this series was probably the time travel one, focused on Homura Akemi. Wrote her name down so I remember it. But like really all of the episodes were pretty good. I liked I liked pretty much every single episode of this anime. And the series had very good pacing too. Like I felt like the pace constantly kept things going, where things were constantly evolving. And I feel like it wasn't paced too slowly, but it also wasn't paced too fast. It's just, really just right in the way this sort of mini-series anime was paced. Really like the pacing. Also, the animation quality is great. You can really tell there was a lot of effort and budget put in this making this anime, and it's just like really looks great. Really great action scenes. So yeah, really liked the overall look of this anime, and it's very stylized, and you can tell the shots. The shots and the way the camera is angled, I guess the digital camera, is really good, and I really liked the look of the series. It's really fantastic. The one thing I will say about this series is like I really liked it. I really like how everything is built up, but the ending was a little weird for me. I mean, I'm not quite sure how I'm supposed to feel about it, because like, was it supposed to be happy or sad? I'm a little bit confused about that. Basically Madoka makes this sort of sacrifice for herself in the end, and like making this wish to, sort of quell all the negative energy in these witches in the end. And like, I don't know, it's just, I don't know, I can't tell if the ending is supposed to be like a happy one or a sad one. It's just like, I don't know, the ending was just a little weird for me. I feel like some things were not quite all addressed. There are movies that have come out since the ending of this series, and I haven't watched them, but I might end up checking them out. But overall, Madoka Magica, really great series. Glad I checked it out. So yeah. All right, next show. We can do this. We can get through this. So long. Okay, so this show, Total Drama, seasons 3 to 5. Yeah, I don't like the show. I watched it when I was younger. I was really into it. The whole Total Drama craze, where it's this really funny, great show about these like reality sitcom, except it's not really sitcom, but reality TV show where except it's animated, so they're fictional characters. And like I watched it. They got more seasons on Netflix, so I thought I would check it out because childhood show, revisiting it. But yeah. Not really a great show. First of all, the animation quality isn't very good. Very cheaply made, I would say, in a lot of ways. The character designs never really appealed to me very much. It's a lot of they're very geometric. Have you noticed that? Like for example, like basically all the female contestants, like they have like triangle boobs. Have you ever noticed that? And like the guys have like the triangle-shaped chests, and that's just like not something that ever really I like very much. Character writing also isn't very consistent. A lot of the characters often make decisions that don't really make a lot of sense. We're not exactly talking top tier, like, oh, these characters are like so brilliantly written or anything like that. Not really. Total Drama World Tour, which was season 3 that I watched, had a bunch of songs for some reason. I don't really understand. Like there was this gimmick of all these songs that they basically did in every episode, and all I can say is, it's no Phineas and Ferb. That's what I can say. It's just, some of the songs weren't bad, but, a lot of them were kind of bad also. It might, honestly, Total Drama World Tour, though, might be possibly the best season of the show, or that or the first season, which, but again, it's still not incredible or anything. Season 3, I feel like, Season 3, World Tour really jumped the shark in a lot of ways, whereas like before in seasons 1 and 2, it was like a semi-realistic and grounded reality show scenario, whereas like in season 3, aliens exist now, and they're like, confirmed aliens exist and all these ridiculous scenarios of them traveling all over the world. And yeah, season 3 really did get rid of some of the realism. I'm saying that in quotes because like not really ever a realistic show, but it was somewhat grounded. But yeah, season 3 just kind of I honestly did like one of the things that really brings up season 3 for me, World Tour, was Alejandro. I think he's a good enough villain, like he's very unique in that he legitimately is likable and helpful, which is like because that's a good strategy, being a likable and helpful guy, whereas also like being villainous when the situation calls for it. But I do feel like he got too lucky for how many mistakes he made, because like he just got very overconfident and very overconfident and like doing all these things that were not necessarily in his best interest, that like would have gotten him out. Like for example, when he basically helped Heather when he didn't need to, and like that would have gotten him out if Sierra hadn't like accidentally blown up the plane and Chris just booted her out of spite. That did bother me, how he sort of got by on luck a lot of times. Also, Chris, like, he becomes a straight up psychopath by season 3 who likes torturing teenagers. Like, it's like he was sort of this messed up dude in like seasons 1 and 2, but then like he just transforms into a like straight up villainous character who is just like, and he's much less interesting to me in that way, because like I don't know, he's just very unlikable and not very interesting to watch that way. Season 4, that was the Revenge of the Island one. It had some okay characters that I kind of liked. I will say though, Scott in season 4 is a terrible antagonist. His plans, like, they make no sense, in complete contrast to Alejandro, where like he wants to make his own teammates lose for some reason, and like why? I don't understand that. Like, okay, so basically Scott's strategy is, his brilliant strategy for winning is to make his teammates lose all the time so he can get rid of his competition. But dude, if you make your teammates lose all the time, there's a chance they're gonna vote you out, especially if they know that like you're the one who's sabotaging them all the time. So it just makes no sense. What the fuck was up with his plan? And he like, if Alejandro got a bit too lucky, Scott got way too lucky. He got away with like way too fucking much in this season. It was just ridiculous. Also, there's the whole plot line about Mike, that character trying to keep his multiple personality disorder a secret. It's like, it's just such a tired plot line of, oh, I have this secret and I don't know what to tell, and like you got to keep it a secret, and it's just it's such a tired plot point. I hate it. It's like so incredibly unbearable. Like, dude, just tell Zoe already. Like, and he does eventually, and she does find out, and oh, big surprise, it's fine. She doesn't care, and it's like oh my gosh, it's such a tired plot point, and I don't care about any of it. Just why do shows keep doing that plot point of, oh, I gotta hide the secret for no real reason? It's just, whatever. There are a lot of moments. The thing that bothered me about Total Drama is basically there are a lot of moments where the villains create very simple and infantile plans, but the characters just fall for them because they're kind of idiots. It's not the villains' plans are succeeding. Basically, the antagonist's plans are succeeding not necessarily because of the intelligence of the antagonist, but because of the stupidity of the characters. Like for example, in season 4, Cameron just straight up admits to Scott he has multiple personality disorder. And like TJ like completely falls for Alejandro's deception in season 3, even though it's like blatantly obvious what he's doing. And like I don't know, it's just like not a whole lot of subtlety in the characters often acting like idiots, which does really bother me. Everyone says that like season 5 Total Drama All Stars is so bad and like, oh, it's so terrible, I never want to talk about it. And it's like I didn't like it, but I didn't really think it was much worse than the other seasons, because I don't really like the other seasons very much. First of all, though, Mal is it's weird. We've gone from Alejandro, who was a pretty okay villain, honestly, and then like Scott, who was just terrible, to Mal, who is like unbearably stupid. It's just like, what the fuck were they thinking with Mal? Like, why is the climax of a reality TV show? The climax of a reality TV show is a character fighting against an evil version of himself in his own head. What? Oh my gosh. Jeez, cough. So yeah, Mal is a terrible villain. Hated him. Some of the subplots in season 5 were kind of lame. Like, for example, Duncan trying to like deal with people saying he's a good guy, and like that whole thing was like, really didn't like it. I do like the resolution to it, like how he just straight up blows up Chris's mansion, and in the end, sorry, Chris. I mean, I know it's a cottage actually, but that sort of like no chill moment at the end did really like sort of seem like a return to classic Duncan. But anyway, yeah, seasons 5 and 4 were definitely rushed, I would say. not enough episodes. They're half the length of a normal season, so, not enough time to necessarily flesh everything out. So that's definitely something that did bother me with seasons 4 and 5. Just felt like they were trying to breeze through the material so quickly, and it's weird too because it's like it's a reality TV show where you think they have this location and they're trying to get as much ratings as they can, so they would try to stretch it out. It's just like whatever. So all in all, I'd say my favorite character in this series is probably Owen. I mean, he's just a very likable guy. I don't know, he's just like a very likable and jovial guy. Not too like complex, but I just like the guy. Owen's a fun character. It used to be, if you were to say who's my favorite character on season 1, it would probably have to be Gwen. But then just like Gwen really went downhill, and it's not necessarily for anything she did, but it's just like the entire cast just started being very mean to Gwen. Like, after she like kissed Duncan on the plane, and it's just like, really, like you're going to constantly harp on that throughout the entire series and like call her a terrible person for that and like put her on the villains team in season 5. Like, for fuck's sake, we stan Gwen in this house. Hashtag Gwen did nothing wrong and Courtney is a bitch. Okay. We will not have any Gwen haters in this house. Anyway, so the other thing I don't really like about the show is like there's a lot of gross out humor. Like a lot of the humor in general, really a lot of the humor in general didn't really land for me. One of the biggest problems with this series is, I would say, with the humor is like it doesn't have very great timing. And with comedy, timing is like so important. Like take for example something I always refer to when talking about comedy is Gravity Falls. Like Gravity Falls has amazing timing. Like it's so incredibly it's so incredible how well like the jokes land because of like how they're timed and how they're delivered. But in this show, like there's obvious attempts at humor, but it's just very like slow and plotting and doesn't necessarily like hit that mark because it's just not really timed very well. And again, like there are some clever jokes, but the timing just isn't really there. And again, it relies a lot on gross out humor, which I don't really like. My biggest problem with the show, to be honest, my biggest problem with the show though is that it ran very much on cartoon logic. Like, because here's the thing, it's a reality show, like where the characters are competing, but without consistent rules and stakes for how this universe behaves. Like, how do I care what happens? Like, for example, okay, so here's an example of what I'm talking about. So basically, in World Tour, the characters are having this boat race, and Al's team runs out of cannonballs to sink the other boat, and they pull ahead of them. So basically, they use Owen as a cannonball and have him fart out of it to sink the other boat. So you see the problem here, which is that basically, you can write whatever you want because it's running on cartoon logic to just have the outcome that you want, and the games and the competitions do not actually rely on consistent rules. So it's just really hard for me to care about it a lot of the time because like there are no consistent rules that it runs on. Like something like for example, Avatar: The Last Airbender. Obviously, Avatar is it's an animated show. It's a cartoon, so there are sort of lack of limitations that there would be in live action. But at the same time, like it does run on somewhat consistent rules on what the characters are able to accomplish and achieve. Whereas this show just doesn't really do that. It just sort of makes up these sort of scenarios that are completely ridiculous. That would, I don't know. It's just that really bothers me. Another real problem is there's very little tension because these characters can't die. Like literally, Ezekiel gets pushed into a active volcano. He should have been burnt to death, but he just survives for no real reason because it's a cartoon and a kid show and whatever. So that is one thing that really bothers me. There are also just very strange decisions, and a lot of characters. There are also just very strange decisions made a lot of the time. Like some characters don't really get the focus that they should. Like the Aftermath episodes too. Like I was not really a big fan of those. I thought they were a pretty dreadful addition that didn't really add very much. I honestly do wish that more shows would have more of an edge, like Total Drama though. Like for example, because this show really does definitely have more of an edge than other cartoon shows. Like for example, in the first episode, like the character of TJ, says the word shit. Like and it's bleeped out and stuff. But yeah, there's definitely some spicy stuff in this show, and I sort of wish like more kid shows would like be more edgy like Total Drama. But at the same time, it's weird because like I'm praising like Total Drama for being a kid show that's definitely more on the edgy side, but at the same time, I think the show might have been better if it was like on Adult Swim, where there would be more possibilities for like a less PG version of like reality
reality show parody. So I kind of feel like the show feels like it should be on Adult Swim, and I feel like it would have done better there possibly. And because the thing for me is, it's kind of hard to like try to figure out who this show appeals to, because like you know, there's obviously a lot of very inappropriate stuff for kids. So a lot of parents wouldn't want their kids watching it. I know my mom didn't want me watching it, but at the same time, it's kind of like it's not a very mature show. It's not very like sophisticated writing. So I don't know if it would really appeal that much to adults either. So it's sort of like stuck in this. Obviously, a bunch of people did watch it, so it was very popular. But it's just like, it's not for me. I don't really like it. I definitely do not like it as much as when I was a kid. So anyway, yeah, that's total drama for you. Now we move on to Hell of a Boss, and I love this show. I loved it so much. The animation, like everything about this show is so good. The animation is amazing. The action, like the humor, it's just, mwah. Oh, it's so freaking good, man. I love everything about Hell of a Boss. It's, oh my gosh. And like, the character development is great too. Like the characters actually do like, you know, change over time, even though it's like, it's this fictional setting where like there are these like little demons in hell, and you don't expect, oh, it's just going to be the show about these like bad people doing bad things. That's where the comedy is going to stem from. But there are like legitimate character development, characters being like introspective and trying to change and become better people, even though, you know, it's in hell. And then I love that. And the lore, there's like a bunch of lore introduced in this series too, about all the different rings and the different leaders, and it's really cool. I really love this miniseries by Vivzipop. The songs are great too. I loved a ton of the songs in this. You know, absolutely fantastic. Also, Moxie and Millie are relationship goals. MVP ship of the year of our Lord 2021. Yeah, so really love that too. Like, you know, I'm honestly like, oh my gosh. So Hell of a Boss, like, I am so excited for Has Been Hotel. If the spin-off show, this is Hell of a Boss is the spin-off show. If the spin-off show is this good, like, oh my gosh, how fucking good is Has Been Hotel gonna be when it finally comes out? When? I need it. I need Has Been Hotel. When Has Been? Oh my gosh, I need it now. I need the finale for season 1 of Hell of a Boss 2. I need it now. What the heck? I need to see it. Oh, it's so freaking good. I want it to come out so badly. Oh, I love the show. So yeah, Hell of a Boss is very good. I loved it, and I really want to see Has Been Hotel. So yeah, give it to me now, Viz. Okay, now we move on to Naruto Shippuden, the ending stretch. So basically what happened with this is, Naruto was actually the first anime I ever watched. It was when I was 13. Basically, I watched the Gaara versus Toph death battle online, you know, from Screw Attack. Very inaccurate, in my opinion. But, you know, I liked watching death battle at the time. And, you know, I thought Gaara looked like a cool character. Sort of animation style similar to Avatar, so I checked it out. But I never got to the end because, like, well, there was tons of filler. And I just, like, I was basically getting to the point where, you know, I was catching up to episodes were coming out weekly. And I wasn't able to consume it all on Hulu. And I was not waiting every week for yet another filler episode to come on. It's just like, so I basically quit and didn't pick up Naruto again until like 5 years later, where now, when I'm 19, I'm finally checking Naruto out again. So yeah, I had 70 episodes left until the end. I got stuck on the fillers in the Infinite Tsukuyomi. So yeah, basically, so I watched the end and watched the ending 70 episodes, sorry. I thought most of it was complete shit. There's like this 19 episode arc in the Infinite Tsukuyomi of an alternate reality in a book being read by Tsunade inside a dream. It's complete fucking bullshit, and it's only there to waste time. Like, so many of the fucking fillers and fucking flashbacks in this fucking series. It's fucking ridiculous. I'll talk more about this series and about the ending in I'm actually planning to doing a review of the entire Naruto series in a video that's going to be coming out in the future, so I won't dwell on it too much here. But basically, yeah, I'll try to keep it short. The fillers are, like I said before, terrible, and it's really... But it's also really hard to get through the manga material in this section, because the manga material is, like, at its worst here, and the story is really, really bad. I was like laughing my ass off the entire time during the Black Zetsu reveal, like where he revealed, oh, I've been the secret villain all this time, and I've been manipulating shinobi history the entire time, and like it's just so fucking ridiculous. Like, Kai is so boring as an antagonist. Why can't you just keep Madara? And the fight against her was like so boring outside of the sexy jutsu part. That was actually like pretty funny, but like yeah, it's just like this ending stretch of Naruto. They stretched out so much to the point where there's like There's an entire episode of Hagoromo trying to fix a fucking bridge. During the Kaguya fight, why are you... There's another episode about trying to figure out what's under Kakashi's mask. Again, during the Kaguya fight, why are we interrupting the, like, action and flow of the story with all this filler nonsense bullshit? What the fuck? Like, the studio that produced this, like, they did a horrible job, especially by the end, where they, like, completely padded everything out and, like, introduced, like, tons of flashbacks, tons of filler, and, like, by the end of the story, in the absolute worst parts, where you're, like, completely leaving the audience on a fucking cliffhanger for, like, episodes upon episodes upon episodes, where you're just flashing back to all this boring filler bullshit. It's just, oh my gosh. Whatever. There really has been some great stuff in the Naruto series, like, for example, the Itachi reveal. That was great, like, one of the best reveals in anime, but, like, there is good stuff in this anime, but, like, it just takes a lot of slogging through filler and flashbacks to get there. And again, I don't like the ending. The ending is pretty shit. There's not much good material to be found here in the final episode stretch. That Naruto and Sasuke fight was great, honestly. I will say that. I really liked the fight between Naruto and Sasuke at the end. But yeah, not much else. Like, I mean, honestly, can you really say a show where, like, 40% of it is nearly unwatchable is good? And again, like, there's some good filler episodes. Like, for example, I don't know, the Itachi ones, where basically his story of, like, but again, it's just like, they completely break up the flow of the story by part 3, where basically you're placing them at the absolute worst points, where it doesn't relate to anything that's actually going on in the story by this point. And it's like, why was the studio so intent on dragging out the anime so much? The manga was, like, finished when the anime was still pumping out a bunch of fillers. It's like, oh my gosh, I'm incredibly glad that the studios, like, anime studios, do things differently with seasonal anime now, but geez, this was not an easy anime to get through, even though it was my first. Like, I hold nostalgia for it, but I'm just saying, Naruto, not an easy anime to get through. Especially not now when I'm so busy. It was just, like, really hard to get through slogs. But, yeah, I don't know. There's a fine filler arc with Shikamaru in the end, but it goes really nowhere. The romantic subplots are almost non-existent. Like, there's a whole 6-episode arc where Naruto's friends are trying to buy him a wedding gift, and none of it is actually focused on Naruto and Hinata, which it should be focused on, because, like, their relationship was barely built up at all in the entire series, but, like, they just end up together, I guess, because Kishimoto's terrible at writing romance. Like, Tamara and Shikamaru are honestly MVP ship in the show, and even they don't get, like, much on-screen development in the first place. I don't know. Like, what's so weird to me is, though, like, Naruto doesn't even become Hokage in the end. Like, wasn't that what the entire series was building to? And, like, by the end of the final episode, Kakashi is still Hokage. It's like, was the entire series just building to his and Hinata's wedding, which happens at the end? I don't think so, but whatever. So that's what I thought about the ending stretch of Naruto. Not very good, is what I'll say. Except for the Naruto and Sasuke fight. That was great. Really liked it. Very iconic. All right, then. We're moving on to Arcane, a show that blew up out of nowhere. I didn't really have any knowledge about, because here's the thing, I don't know anything about League of Legends, which of course the show Arcane is based on, but you know, apparently a lot of people who watch this show don't know anything about League of Legends either, which you know, it's a great sign that you know, it's a video game adaptation that you don't need to watch the video game to know anything about, because in a truly great storm of shit that is video game adaptations, this was actually a pretty good one. So yeah, Arcane, pretty great. The animation is really great, like, the extremely expressive and constantly moving. You know, that's the thing I really like about it. Like, there's constantly motion going on in Arcane, where it doesn't, like, you know, pause to have relatively static frames. Like, it's always moving. It's moving very naturally. I don't know if they used motion capture, but, like, it looks very, very good. Like, just extremely expressive animation, extremely detailed animation. Like I said, constantly moving. So love the animation. Really awesome fight scenes the whole way through. Really love the fight scenes in Arcane. I'd say probably my favorite character was probably Jinx. I just really liked her character very much. Her whole thing going on of her, like, dealing with her identity and sort of the trauma of, like, kind of being responsible for the death of her friends and trying to deal with it in this way of, like, this, you know, Silco character who's trying to basically manipulate her but also help her in many ways, but helping her in the wrong way because, you know, sort of instilling sort of unhealthy behaviors in her that and not giving her adequate coping mechanisms for some things. So I really like Jinx. Also Victor, I really liked Victor. He was a very interesting character. I just really jive with his mindset of wanting to do things and, keeping at the grind of wanting to, innovate and trying to make things better. And just really liked, honestly, obviously I do relate to him in some ways, like being a relatively introverted person who's often like wrapped up in these projects, whereas Jace has sort of the Chad mentality that isn't really in me, I wouldn't say, but although I'm a little Chad, got a little Chad in me, just saying, ladies. No, I'm just kidding. But yeah, anyway, also that final scene with Jinx was just, like, so fantastically written. It was so incredibly tension filled. I love that final scene with basically the tea party. That was just a great, incredible scene. That was like probably my favorite scene in the entire show. The final season. So yeah, I did have some problems with the show though. Like there were some problems with pacing, and I think it went a little too fast at times. Like sometimes I was confused what was happening. Like for example, I didn't really understand, like, okay, why was Vi in prison, for example, after the time skip, and something like that. I didn't really understand why Chase was able to obtain like so much power and so much influence in the council in such a short time. That just sort of felt weird to me. I will say though, one of the best aspects of the show is Vi and Caitlyn, MVP ship of the year of 2021. Like the fourth MVP ship I've listed. But yeah, they just have like so much chemistry together. Like it's amazing. Like yeah. Vi and Caitlyn, really great, really brilliant ship. Great writing for that. I really liked it. Like all their cute interaction stuff. Really like that ship. Yeah, really like them together. Also the characters separately, but mostly together. Anyway, but yeah, really excited for season 2. You're really just gonna lift up. You're really gonna leave us on that completely crazy cliffhanger. Like, really, come on, when's season 2 coming out, man? I want to see it. Anyway, so yeah, that's what I thought of Arcane. I really liked it. So yeah. All right, now we're moving on to talking to Game of Thrones, the most popular television series that has ever existed, apparently. So yeah, so I'm not going to talk about this show too much, since I'm going to be coming out with a full review / retrospective on the show with my dad soon. So I'm going to keep this relatively brief. But yeah, what I will say about Game of Thrones is I definitely liked the first 4 seasons. Thought they were very good, really good character writing. I really liked all the interesting aspects of the world, and the politics and how intricate everything was and how it connected in many ways. But the latter half of the show definitely went through somewhat of a decline. I still liked every season except for the final season, which season 8 is complete shit. It's complete fucking shit. I hated every single moment of it. Oh my gosh, season 8. My hate for season 8 will not go away because it was so bad and I hated it so much. Anyway, Game of Thrones final season is so bad, fails to deliver in almost every single conceivable way. Like, oh my gosh, hated season 8, hated it so much, hated it, fucking hated it. I mean, there is a lot of, because here's the thing, like, Game of Thrones sort of runs this conversation of, oh, well, if the ending is so bad, like, is there a point of watching it in the first place? And yeah, that was sort of something that turned me off to watching the series in the first place, where, like, I don't know if this has a really bad ending that everyone says is really bad, and do I really want to watch it? But there is still a lot of good stuff in Game of Thrones on the journey there, because, as I say, like, the fun is in the journey, and like Game of Thrones certainly had an incredible journey, even if it was leading to a horrible destination. And like honestly, one of the things is I wasn't too sure about the method of storytelling that they had in Game of Thrones at first, but like but the way it was like a bunch of disconnected stories that were told at the same time. Like for example, in the first season, like there's this whole Dothraki plot with Daenerys Targaryen that like you think it's going to like amount to something with the main story in the end, but it doesn't. And like Daenerys is really on her own for like basically the first 6 seasons of the show, which is crazy. And you have all these plots that don't necessarily, you have all these different plot lines that don't necessarily connect right away and don't necessarily have payoff in the season that they're in, but they're always building towards something. And it's really cool how you see all these different storylines converge in different ways as they continue on, and like converge with other plot points, and eventually get all together in the end. And like that's a really interesting way of storytelling, and I honestly really liked it. I wish more shows would do that, honestly. It's a really unique way of storytelling, and I really appreciate it in Game of Thrones. So I think the other thing is, in regards to Game of Thrones, I think that the series should have been animated. Like, fuck House of the Dragon. We just need an animated A Song of Ice and Fire series. If George ever finishes the fucking books, that is. Because, like, because you see in the books, like, there are all these fantastical, like, elements that, these certain scenarios that you're just not able to do in live action. And just to be much easier to do if you had, like, if it was an animated series. Because, like, I just don't know how, like, especially with stuff that happens in the later books, I don't know how they thought, like, oh, we're going to do it all a live action production. I don't know how they thought they were going to, like, match the stuff that the books go into later down the line. They should have just, it would have been easier and, like, more convenient, and things might have turned out better if it had been, like, an animated series. So I'm really hoping for, honestly, in the future, like, we get a Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood situation where, after the books are finally finished, if they're ever fucking finished, George, we get, like, an animated Song of Ice and Fire series where, it shows the story in all its full glory, its full animated glory. So, yeah, that's one hope I do have for Game of Thrones. But overall, like the show, except for the final season. It was shit! And finally, we get to the final show that we're going to be talking about that I watched this year, which is The Boondocks. Chop, chop, chop. The Boondocks. Honestly, I never watched this show before, and, like, I only knew it through a few viral memes online, like, because I never really heard much about this show. Like, it definitely doesn't have the same mainstream appeal as, I would say, some other, like, adult sitcoms like Family Guy, Rick and Morty, stuff like that. But Boondocks certainly is a cult classic for a lot of people, and I did finally sit down to watch it this year, and I gotta say, I liked it a lot, at least parts of it. Anyway, so season 1, I would say, is my favorite season. I think it was the strongest out of all of them. Obviously, the animation is not quite up to par to what would happen in later seasons. It looked kind of janky sometimes. But I would say season 1 is probably the best. It was just, I think the humor was the best. I think it had, like, the sharpest commentary on, like, these sort of, also like the freshest plots and the most consistent quality in terms of episodes. I feel like later in the show, even by season 2, the plots sometimes could get a little tired at times. Like, for example, like, endless plots about Grandpa trying to like get a girlfriend, which is, like, got boring after really just got boring after a while. But season 1 was very fresh. It was just really good. Had some really great episodes. Some of the truly greatest episodes of television happened in season 1, and oh my gosh, an unbelievably iconic Christmas special that, like, I showed it to my dad. Even he loved it, and it's just like, oh, that Christmas special was so great. And it had a great finale too. Like, that finale was so good. That emotional moment where, like, Huey was, like, breaking down and crying because of his friend who was, like, going to be executed. That was just, so great. Season 1, it had emotion, it had heart, it had, like, social commentary, it had, like, really great humor. It just was really great for me. Season 2, I feel like the quality of the show declines generally every season, to where season 4 just really went off the rails for me. The social commentary and humor just became less sharp over time, I would say. My favorite episode, honestly, I'm not saying season 2 was bad. Season 2 probably had my favorite episode, which was the premiere. I was just laughing so hard throughout that entire thing, where basically, it was this whole basic critique about, like, the cheapness of the movie theater and stuff. It's just so funny jokes in that episode. I loved it so much. And there was a lot of other funny, really good episodes in season 2 as well, but I felt like it wasn't quite as the quality as season 1 was. There was a lot of good stuff at season 3, even though I feel like it was yet another step down a peg, where like, some really great and iconic episodes in season 3, like, for example, the Chinese kickball episode. Oh my gosh, that episode was so funny. And it was like, it was so ridiculous how, like, it was a kickball game that was basically turned into this, like, a anime death match, but it was like, it was so funny. And it was like, honestly, I'm just gonna say it. I know this is a controversial take, but Boondocks kickball better than Hisoka dodgeball. Just putting that out there, Just putting that out there. Boondocks is just cut above the rest when it comes to kickball. Anyway, also the chocolate bar one too, like chocolate. Like no, but seriously, the chocolate one where like Riley is selling chocolate. It's like portrayed as like this drug ring, and it's, oh my gosh, that was so great. But yeah, season 4. Honestly, not as bad as I thought. Like a lot of people were hyping up season 4 as like, oh, it's this terrible shit that's like so much worse compared to the rest of the series. I don't know. I feel like. Because, again, I feel like, the series was just generally declining with quality every season. And it's like, there were some good episodes in season 4. Like, I like the second episode, honestly, where there was, like, this whole thing where it was, the Freemans were basically, being basically pressured and sold into, this form of debt slavery, which I thought gave a lot of, really interesting, commentary and, interesting scenario that we hadn't really seen before. And I was liking what the potential that that might have for in future episodes. I liked the Breaking Bad episode too. I thought it was probably my favorite episode of the season, honestly. I thought it was a very effective parody, even if it did go a little too beat for beat in some instances. But I just really liked the fact that it was like, instead of selling meth, it was like selling black hair care products instead. And it's just like, that was just really funny. And a lot of the commentary on like the black hair care industry, that was really good too. But again, there were just some episodes that were just really not good in season 4. Like, for example, the Kardashian one, like, almost nothing about that episode was just funny. It was just complete cringe humor the entire way through. Also, complete missed opportunity. You have Mother Teresa in that episode, and you don't go full Christopher Hitchens and, like, completely attack her reputation, like, point out all these, like, bad and, like, horrible things she was doing, her neglect of, like, poor people, and, like, come on, this is Boondocks. You're supposed to be, like, cutting through the bullshit. And, like, but I didn't really do anything that, with Mother Teresa in that episode, which I found very, un-Boondocksy. And, but yeah, like, just a lot of episodes in, season 10 that were just not really very good. I don't know, it's just, one of the other things that was so weird to me is that, like, I don't understand, did the show just forget that, like, the Freeman family were in slavery? Because it seems like they're pretty free throughout most of the episodes and like just doing whatever they want. That was just very odd to me. I really didn't think that they did much with that scenario in the end. Anyway, missed opportunities with season 4 definitely. It wasn't as funny as the other seasons, so, but not completely terrible. I mean, the other thing I have a problem with the show is that like the comedy does get somewhat formulaic over time, where it's just like because let's be real, there's only so many times that like the show can say the N-word before it kind of gets old. Like, also, let's be honest, if this were a show made by a white guy, like, so many people would call it racist as fuck. Like, it constantly makes fun of black people and like insults black culture, and like, obviously it makes fun of white people and racists too, but it's just like this show is like ruthless in its critique of like black people and black culture. So I guess the creator Aaron McGruder is like he is disturbed by some of the aspects of like black culture. I'm not really going to judge about that, but yeah, just saying that is sort of a bit of a controversial aspect of the show as well. The other thing I don't really the other criticism I sort of have with the show is that there's a lack of real character development. Like, for example, on in season 2, there's this episode, this Gangstalicious episode where Riley basically thinks, oh, he's gay because the rapper he likes turned out to be gay, and he like has this moment where he's like breaking down and crying to his granddad because like he's like, oh, I can't believe it, like I'm gay, and like I didn't obviously he's not gay, he's just like he thinks he is because like the rapper he likes is. But anyway, it's this really emotional moment in season 2, and it feels like it's real actual growth for his character. But then in season 4, Riley is just like back to like ruthlessly mocking and making fun of gay people again. It's just like I don't know, I just liked it, even though the characters don't age. I would have liked it if, like, there was actual character development, like, seen, even if it wasn't necessarily major. So, that is just one problem I have. Huey, I would have to say, is probably my favorite character. I probably relate to him the most out of any of them. Just really liked him. Really liked how, he was just so incredibly, like, serious all the time, and a lot of comedy came from that. But he also had a lot of insightful things to add to the show as well, with all his, revolutionary speeches and stuff like that. I'd say, in regards to Boondocks, it definitely does, in many ways, it does feel like it was canned too soon. Like, imagine Boondocks today with, like, all the topics it addresses with, like, in the Trump era or the post-Trump era, like, all the bullshit going on today. like imagining Boondocks in this modern era and everything you could do with that. Like I've seen like YouTube videos where like the actor who plays Uncle Ruckus is like commenting on current events, and it's just like really hilarious. So in many ways, it would be cool if Boondocks was like brought back. Like there are some rumors that it's going to be like rebooted, but at the same time, I don't know if a new season coming out would be the best idea, because like I feel like, again, like I said, it wasn't just that, oh, season 4 was bad and like the because the creator Aaron McGruder left, and like the rest of the seasons were like just, oh, so perfect. And like I feel like there was a somewhat steady decline where it just felt like the jokes were not as sharp anymore. And I just feel like even if the creator Aaron McGruder did come back for like a 5th season or whatever, or a reboot, I don't know, just like I don't know, I have my doubts. I feel like Boondocks had its moment in the sun where it was just like had really great and iconic episodes, but I don't know. If season 4 or maybe even the decline season 3 was any indication, I don't know. Maybe we just leave Boondocks as is. But anyway, Boondocks. Here's my opinion on Boondocks. Boondocks is pretty good. I really liked it, and just had so many incredibly funny and memorable moments. And also, Boondocks might have my favorite quote of almost any show of all time.
We cannot lose this game. The stakes are too high.
Well, who bet the whole town on a kickball game?
Okay, maybe it was a wrong decision to bet all of our economic futures on a kickball game. Well, we're Americans. We don't quit just because we're wrong. We just keep doing the wrong thing until it turns out right.